What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the PFF NFL show. Trevor, Sikkema, and Dalton Wasserman here with you guys once again for another grades release episode of the YouTube channel. What we're going to do here on the show is we're going to go through the top 5 graded players that we had from every single game in Week 14. We'll tell you the stat that told the story, give you our most impressive, most disappointing, all that good stuff. Dalton, how we doing? Busy weekend for you with the college football, the final college football playoff bracket, obviously championship weekend, everything. So how you doing on sleep, my friend?
Pretty good, actually. Pretty good. There wasn't as many, only 9 college games in total this week.
It's okay. It's a little bit less. They mean more, but it's a little bit less.
And only, 5 or 6 of them that affected the playoff. And in between, just all of the arguing that continues to happen even after the fact is fun. But you know the theme to me this weekend, does it feel like, even college and NFL, does it just feel like everything's upside down? Right, you got teams in college like Indiana and Texas Tech winning a conference for the first time in 80 years or whatever. You got right now Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow currently out of the playoff picture. That feels weird. I mean, this just feels like everything's backwards right now, and we're just trying to piece it all together on both fronts.
It is. It's an exciting time of year because this is the case, and I feel like in the past, there have been runaways by a lot of these great quarterbacks. And obviously watching great quarterback performances, which we'll talk about all of them in-depthly, obviously. But people enjoy that, and it's fun. But I feel like anytime that's the case, we all kind of say the same thing. Well, I can't wait for the playoffs. All right, well, let's just skip to the playoffs, right? Okay, well, the rest of these games don't really matter. Let's just see who's hosting in the AFC or the conference championships or getting the Super Bowl or whatever. This year, I don't feel that way. This year, it really is every single week there are things to care about because we've got the Broncos, all due respect to everything that they've done, the Patriots the same way, where they have these incredible records right now. But I think that some people are still like, yeah, but is there going to be a little bit of a fall off before they get into the playoffs? Like, how are they going to finish out the regular season? Like, what's going to happen here? Because to your point, there's just so much new. We're going to talk about a lot of that new here on this show as we go through all the numbers, all the data that we saw from this past week. You guys can do that too. Using the promo code HOLIDAY30, you can get 30% off a PFF Plus subscription where we see all of this data from. You can see the grades, the premium data, but also the fantasy football tools, the betting tools as we get towards the end of the regular season and into the playoffs. And then once we hit the offseason, well, that's my favorite time of the year. Then you get the free agency tools, the fully unlocked mock draft simulator, our draft guide, all that great stuff. So if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, get 30% off right now with one using that promo code HOLIDAY30. We got a lot of games that we're going to get to here, but we start, as we always do, with Sunday Night Football. And you mentioned the Chiefs were one of those teams, Patrick Mahomes, on the outside looking in right now in a major way, below 500. Now they're in a spot where they have been eliminated from winning the AFC West, which means that for the first time in, God, what is it?
9 years, isn't it? Didn't they win 9 in a row?
I thought it might have been even longer than that. We'll look this up in a second.
I thought it was 9. 2015, it was Denver. And then hasn't it been 9 since then?
Okay, so it would have been 9 since then. All right, so almost a decade of Kansas City Chiefs dominance in this division, and we know that we're going to crown a new champion in that division. It's because the Houston Texans defeated the Kansas City Chiefs in this game by a score of 20-10. So look at the top 5 graded players for the Texans as winners of this game. Number 1, safety Jalen Petrie, 90.5 overall grade. He was all over the field last night. Now, I'll dig into him a little bit more. He's my most impressive, so I'll talk about him a little bit more in a second. But defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins right behind him with an 82.6. Defensive tackle Tommy Togiai with an 82.2. Edge rusher Will Anderson Jr. a 78.5, and then edge rusher Danielle Hunter a 73.2. C.J. Stroud in this game a 58.9. And again, just to remind everybody of the PFF grade scale, a neutral grade is a 60.0. So C.J. Stroud right around that neutral grade. And I think if you watched last night, a lot of struggles with the offensive line. C.J. really just could not do a lot. That grade kind of checks out there from what we were watching when we were watching it live. On Kansas City's side of things, defensive tackle Chris Jones. Man, he looked like Hall of Fame Chris Jones last night. And it's kind of crazy that even that wasn't enough for them to get the win. He had a 90.3 overall grade. Offensive guard Kingsley Suamataia with a 78.9. Linebacker Drew Tranquil a 78.2. Edge rusher George Karlaftis a 78.0. And then rounding it out at number 5, linebacker Nick Bolton a 76.7. Patrick Mahomes in this game, 65.2 0. Dalton, what was your stat that told the story here?
I think the lesson here, and I think we've known this for probably the better part of a year and a half, but there is only so much Patrick Mahomes can do to save this team, right? And the defense put forth a good enough effort to win this game, right? I thought they were put in a couple of bad spots in the fourth quarter with Andy Reid and the fourth down calls that were made, but either way, the defense was good enough. Mahomes, he's trying to carry this offense. We've known all year that they can't run the football, but the big stat for me, if Mahomes has to carry and you can't run it, you've got to be better as a receiving core. 53.1 receiving grade in this game, worst in 2 years here for Kansas City. So you look at only 19 yards after contact, after the catch, right? 1 missed tackle forced, 5 drops, and most of them in huge spots. You talk about Noah Gray with a third down drop early in the game. Kareem Hunt with a 3rd and 2 drop would have been a first down. Rashee Rice on that 4th and 4 that Andy Reid went for in the fourth quarter. And then Travis Kelce for the 3rd time this year had a drop that resulted in an interception. 1 for 4 on contested targets, Kansas City was, and you just can't make those mistakes when you have opportunities to make plays against this defense, which only gives you so much margin for error. And the pass rush is so great, and there's only so often you get open against a secondary that continues to get better. The Chiefs around Patrick Mahomes, it has to be said, they're just not good enough.
Yeah.
We knew that in the run game, but in the passing game, guys like Rice and Xavier Worthy and Kelce, they have to come through more consistently. They didn't do that in this game. That's why the Chiefs only had 10 points on the night.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. It's not like Patrick Mahomes was perfect. I'm not trying to absolve him of all blame here. I think that there are things that Patrick Mahomes has been just a little bit off with this year, where at times over the course of their Super Bowl runs, it feels like he's just putting the ball exactly where it needs to go every single time. This year, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit off. The accuracy's not quite as pinpoint as it has been in the past, but still, a lot of these passes are hitting these wide receivers in the hands. And you talk about the 5 drops. The first 3 drops that we have recorded, 3rd down, 4th down. And it's like, okay, well, if Mahomes is hitting you in the hands and you're dropping the football on those crucial downs, you're already putting yourself so far behind the 8 ball because, like you said, you know that Houston's going to lock in on defense. And then when you look at the last drop, it was the Travis Kelce drop, where, it's a little bit behind him, and that just goes into what I said about Mahomes being a little bit off with the timing. It's a little bit behind Kelce, but Kelce, it hits him in the hands, he pops it up, and Azeez Al-Shaair is right there for the interception to seal the game. And so my stat that told the story is sort of along the same lines of what you were saying, and you leaned a little bit more into the passing side of it. Mahomes is the leading rusher again for this team. You talk about him being let down by the receiving core, the guys that he's throwing passes to. They can't run the ball, man. They cannot run the ball. I can't tell you how many times I do mock drafts and I have Jeremiah Love for Notre Dame going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Funny enough, I didn't on the one that I just wrote for this Monday, which you guys can see over at PFF.com, because honestly, I just wanted to switch it up. I have done this so many times, giving them Jeremiah Love, and that pick makes a lot of sense because as of right now, they don't have the dynamic ability out of the backfield. And it's just Patrick Mahomes and what he could do with his arms specifically, and now his receivers are letting him down as well. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Houston. Houston did an excellent job in this game playing their style. To go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, which when we talked about this on the preview show, everything was on the line here, right? You and I talked about this. If they lose this game, you basically just have to win out and pray. And that's where they're at. So Kansas City knew they had to win this game. And we've seen them win this kind of game so many times over the last 3 or 4 years. They didn't this time around, and it's a credit to what Houston was able to do, especially on the defensive side of the ball. My most impressive guy was Jalen Petrie. 90.5 overall grade, so an elite overall grade for the Texans. 90.2 coverage grade. He had that interception. He had that incredible hit on Rashee Rice in this game as well. Petrie was all over the field. This is the type of game where it's why he's one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL, because he truly, and I love how Houston has set this up. We've talked about this a little bit, how drafting the right skill set of players allows you to have this true top-tier, high-ceiling type of a defense, especially on the back end for the Texans. Look at their 2 outside corners, right? It's Kamari Lassner, it's Derek Stingley Jr. They can match up one-on-one against basically any wide receiver in the NFL. So you have 2 corners that you feel very confidently in man coverage. You then have a back-end safety in Kalen Bullock, who what he does best is center fielder range, side to side. Let him be a single high type of a player. And all of that builds around allowing a guy like Jalen Petrie basically free reign. Yes, he's got his structure of like, hey, you've got the number 2 receiver, you've got the number 3 wide receiver as sort of that nickel defender, apex defender, whatever you want to call it, depending on what his depth is and what he's asked to do. But he's flying around, man. He's just flying around, and they're telling him, Petrie, go make the play. And he did so many times in this game, and he was so impressive.
And he's representative, really, of their entire defense. They just constantly attack the football at all three levels, right? He's among the most aggressive of them. But Kalen Bullock does the same thing on the back end. Kamari Lassiter with the interception in the fourth quarter in this game. Obviously, the pass rush doing what they do constantly. I believe Hunter and Anderson combined for, 13 or 15 pressures in this game again? And they didn't get Mahomes down very often, but they made him get rid of the ball and move before he wanted to. So this defense is easily in the argument as the best defense in football. They just went into Arrowhead and allowed 10 points to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and got the biggest win of their season. And now, right now, because of a tiebreaker with the Colts and where the Colts are, Texans are the 7th seed. They're in the playoffs, and they're in a hot race now for the division title with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's going to be a lot of fun in the AFC South down the stretch. My most impressive guy, I just want to shout out Chris Jones because he did everything he possibly could to win this game. 92.4 pass rush grade, 8 pressures, a sack, a batted pass, a 25% pass rush win rate. He was unblockable. You mentioned the Texans and C.J. Stroud really struggling to get things moving, especially in the second half. Chris Jones just took over on the defensive line. He did everything he possibly could, just couldn't find enough points on offense for the Chiefs to get a win here.
I do want to talk a little bit when we go through some of these previews with these teams. It is about the next 4 weeks as well, because we're done with bye weeks, right? This is the last week that we had any bye weeks, so we're getting a full schedules for all the teams in the last 4 weeks of the season moving forward. The Houston Texans are now 1 game back of the Jacksonville Jaguars for the top of that division. We'll get to the Colts, unfortunately, who are right there record-wise, but in terms of outlook, not so great. When you look at the Texans now, coming off of their 5th straight win, okay? They host the Cardinals. They host the Raiders. They're at the Chargers, who we know, man, with how beat up the Chargers are on that defensive line, that's a matchup where you got to feel good about Houston's defense limiting that Chargers offense quite a bit. And then the last one is hosting the Colts.
You feel like they could stack up another 4 in a row here. And how big, of all of these wins, the Bills win was a huge win. Obviously, this win was huge. How big, for the sake of tiebreakers and possibly winning that division, was that big comeback from Davis Mills against Jacksonville that he pulled off? Because now you split the 2 games and you let division record decide that part of it. That was really the biggest win out of all this. On top of the fact that, keep in mind, they went 3-0 with Davis Mills as the starting quarterback. They would not be here without him, especially with that being the biggest win of the 3. I think when you look at just everything coming together for this team after starting 0-3, and now they've won 8 of 10, and they're in prime position to get a wild card spot. You've got a tie break over the Chiefs. You're 2 games ahead of everybody else except the Colts, and we're about to talk about the Colts because that doesn't look so great right now. Texans got to feel really, really good about where they're at and the momentum they're building, and they're not even anywhere near clicking on all cylinders on offense yet. If they get that done, they're really dangerous.
As for the Chiefs, they're versus the Chargers next week, and then it's at the Tennessee Titans. Then it's versus the Denver Broncos, who could very well be playing for seeding still and getting that first-round bye with the teams at the top, most likely the New England Patriots, and then they're at the Las Vegas Raiders to end the year. So I could absolutely see the Chiefs finishing 3-1 in these last 4 games. I think that that's possible for them, but that gets them to 9-8.
They won't get in at 9-8. They have to win all 4.
Yeah, and then
they have to hope to be ahead of somebody.
Yes.
And you just mentioned the Houston schedule. Right this second, I might pick them to win all 4 of those games.
Right.
Certainly 3 of them.
The biggest issue that I have right now with Houston is simply how bad their offensive line looked last night. Now, it looked better. The weeks prior, they did look better. And so you've got to hope that, okay, you were facing Spags and Chris Jones in Kansas City. It was just a really tough night. And you hope that the next 4 weeks are a lot closer to what we've seen, when Davis Mills was starting, when I think that things were a little bit better for them. But if their offensive line starts to regress from where they started when they were 0-3 on the season to start things off, then Jacksonville's chances of winning this division and making some noise in the playoff, I think, significantly improved.
And I think we've known this with them since last year in this matchup. They just don't have an answer for Chris Jones. It is what it is. Now, if they don't have to face Chris Jones in the playoffs, then fantastic. Right now, there's other good pass rush teams. You think about Denver. You think about Jacksonville. This is going to come up at some point if they make the playoffs. But right this minute, with the last 4 games they have and what they've gotten through, we feel good enough about it. That'll be something we talk a lot more about if we get to postseason matchups with them for sure.
Let's stay in the AFC South for our next matchup here. Colts-Jags. Jags win this game 36-19. Big win for the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game where Weather was definitely an issue here. This was in Jacksonville. It was rainy. It was not great in a lot of places. It felt like in the country yesterday, with a lot of snow and wind and fog and rain. And obviously in Florida, they were dealing with rain. But Jacksonville certainly came to play in a big way. Their top graded players, linebacker Devin Lloyd, was at the top of the list with an 86.9. Edge rusher Josh Hines Allen, an 81.5. Wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr., great to see him back in the 80s here with an 80.3. Cornerback Greg Newsome, a 78.7. Offensive guard Ezra Cleveland, a 78.6. And then Trevor Lawrence, a 90.2 overall grade. Dalton, we'll get more into Trevor Lawrence here in a second. On Indy side of things, cornerback Charvarius Ward was their top graded player with an 86.0. Offensive guard Quentin Nelson, an 84.3. Defensive tackle Grover Stewart, an 83.8. Safety Nick Cross, a 79.1. Wide receiver Alec Pierce, a 76.3. And then Riley Leonard, who obviously came into the game when Daniel Jones suffered his Achilles injury, in which that was confirmed, and he'll have to have Achilles surgery and miss the rest of the year. Riley Leonard, 55.8 overall grade here. Dalton, what was your stat that told the story?
Wanted to throw it out there on Lawrence real quick, because I've seen this question asked multiple times. Was it the best game, highest graded game of his career? It was second behind a Week 14 game against Tennessee with a 92.6.
However, as a passer, 4 big-time throws, no turnover-worthy plays. Last time Trevor Lawrence did that, never in the NFL. I didn't check the Clemson stats.
Well, he probably did it one day at Clemson. I'm sure he did. I'd have to check. I could check that right now.
Right, you could check that right now. No, Lawrence was phenomenal, though. You know, I don't know. We could pull up premium stats if you guys want to pull up the premium stats and go to the passing and depth page for him, because you could just see a lot of the different areas of where he was passing the ball, and, you know, play action versus no play action. You just see the grades are fantastic. So this is premium stats. If you guys have a PFF Plus subscription, this is the screen that you will see, that you start at. You go to pressure and depth there under passing for Jacksonville. And then this is Trevor Lawrence's chart. So you can see exactly how he performed in every area of the field where he was looking, where he was attempting those passes. Look at that under pressure grade there, Dalton. 91.8 under pressure grade.
And historically, since he's been in the league, he's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league under pressure. So that really, it felt like this in this game. This more than any other game this year, he was attacking.
Well, dude,
didn't it feel like he was just finally we hit a point in this offense where he's attacking downfield?
I'll give you an even better word: anticipating. Can you scroll down a little bit? Just scroll down a little bit to the passing concept. So right there, you see that play action versus no play action grade, right? This is a conversation I wanted to have about Trevor Lawrence, because I think a lot of fans, with as popular as play action and pre-snap motion and all of those things are, they definitely bring you value, but I think everybody just goes like, well, let's just do play action all the time. Like, just do play action every single play. And there are things about play action or running RPOs and things like that do disrupt the timing. And if quarterbacks aren't super comfortable with it, sometimes it can be a little bit of a detriment. You saw how many, obviously they ran the majority of their plays without play action here, but an elite 92.5 no play action passing grade from Trevor Lawrence. And if you go back and you watch his film from this past week, the reason why is because he was anticipating things so well. There was no reason in letting him, okay, like I gotta fake this handoff. I've got to do play action, because that's about a second and a half where he doesn't get to read what the defense was doing. And very clearly in this game against the Colts, he was at his best the longer he could read the coverages. And Dalton, there were so many throws in this game where I'm watching the all 22 of it, and I'm like fist pumping, because I feel like he's been hesitant sometimes. He's needed to see it open before he threw it open. And in this game, there were so many throws where he's winding up to throw, and I'm like pausing the tape, and I'm going, that guy's not even open. Like, he's not even close to open, and he's throwing it to a spot with elite touch, timing, and anticipation, and boom, the wide receiver just runs right underneath it. I thought, Lawrence, this was one of, if not the best game that I've seen from him in his NFL career at doing just that. And to do it in the rain under these conditions, strong divisional opponent, I give Lawrence full credit for an incredible day.
It's the same feeling watching this tape. It's the same feeling I get when we would watch Bryce Young and the weeks where he puts his good tape out there, where it's just like, okay, there's a different air of confidence with this, right? It just looks outstanding, not afraid to throw into tight windows. And how good is it to see Brian Thomas making plays down the field again? Because if you get that with the impact that Jacoby Myers has had on this offense, with the impact that Bretton Strange's return has had on this offense, this was the first day this year, I thought, because we've seen other days where the dominant run game against the Chargers, right, against Carolina earlier in the year, where the dominant run game and the physicality of this team really took over the offense. This was the first game this year where they looked like a true two-dimensional threat on offense. And if this is going to continue and Lawrence is going to play anywhere close to what he's played the last 2 weeks, this is a dangerous football team because their defense, too, is back to being really good.
I think I got to shout out the Jags' run game as well. We'll talk about the Colts and obviously the long-term implications of what happened in this game. But the Jags' run game, I've talked about this a lot. Liam Cohen, he gets hired as the head coach. What a great offense that he ran with Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. People talk about the passing, right? When we talk about an offensive coordinator becoming a head coach and being a play caller, they talk about what they can mean for the quarterback and the passing game and all that kinds of stuff. And Liam Cohen has always been excellent at the run game. And I think that once again, it showed up in this game. Travis Etienne, 39 of his 74 rushing yards in this game came before contact. That means the offensive line was playing really well. And the more I dug into that, the more that I realized that was the case. 3 offensive linemen for Jacksonville in this game had a single-digit defeated run blocking percentage. That means that when you have impact run blocking plays, that often, to me, is it's a talent thing. Like, it's a talent ceiling thing, right? Like, you're getting out of your stance, you're getting off the ball so incredibly quick that you're converting that speed into power and you're able to, move these guys off the ball. Or sometimes just brute strength, right? Great leg drive, great upper body strength, great grip strength, good technique, of course. But a lot of times when you get those impact, positively graded run blocking plays, it has to do with your talent. Lowering the defeated run blocking percentage, so when you earn a negative grade on a run blocking play, that to me is all about chemistry in the offensive line. It's about how well you are executing what is being asked of you within the system, okay? Is everybody in unison? Do you have good chemistry with the guy who's next to you? Are you executing a combo block and then are you getting to the next level? Are you reaching your defender the way that you need to because you had faith that the guy in front of you was going to reach his guy when he needed to, right? So to me, for 3 offensive linemen for Jacksonville to have a single-digit negatively graded run blocking percentage, that showcases confidence and chemistry for what the offensive line is being asked to do. And I think that is something that I wanted to shout out here from Liam Cohen and the Jags.
And it's definitely one of the more improved units. And you look at some of the new guys they acquired, right? Robert Hainsey, a good veteran from the Bucs, right? Patrick McCarry, an experienced player from Baltimore. These are guys who are having an impact, and they've just made this team more physical than we've seen the last several years. Honestly, I think that was a big problem with this offensive line the last couple of years, is they just were not physical enough. And this year you can feel it. And that's what Liam Cohen really wanted to bring with this offensive line and with the multiple tight end sets, is just a different brand of football up front that's setting up everything else in this offense.
Devin Lloyd was once again excellent in this game, led the team with 8 tackles, 89.4 run defense grade, had an interception in this game as well. A young man's about to get paid this offseason. Paid. And I know Jacksonville fans are like, we're not letting him go. And I don't think he's leaving Jacksonville, because I don't know how you can let a player like this walk. But longer the season goes on, the higher that per year number goes up and up for how well Devin Lloyd has been playing. Anything else from the Jag side of things before we obviously talk about the Colts?
No, I mean, this was just a really clean effort. Obviously, the Colts' injuries are a real problem right now, but Jacksonville is playing their best football going down the stretch here. Yeah,
the Colts are in a tough spot, and I tweeted this out yesterday. It's basically been worst case scenario since the trade deadline, right? What were they going into the trade deadline? Were they 8-1, 7-1?
I think it was it 7-1? 7-1 sounds right.
I think they were 7-1 going into the trade deadline. So obviously you feel great, right? They might have been the number 1 seed at the time. They might have had that number 1 overall seed in the AFC at the time when we were heading into the trade deadline. They moved 2 first-round picks, knowing that, assuming that the one this year is going to be a later one, and then you think that the one next year is going to be a later one as well. That's how you sort of get to the logic of, we're not trading a top 10 pick here. We're trading a pick that's going to be, between 25 and 32. You're hoping a lot closer to 32, obviously. And if you're doing that for 2 years, you feel okay about trading 2 first-round picks, but they do it for a corner, which I think has its own conversations about value for a cornerback, but it's one of the best corners in the game. So at least you're going after one of the best corners in the game, who's a young cornerback who just signed a second-year contract that you obviously feel comfortable with on your books. But you do all of that because you think that you've hit it with Daniel Jones. You're 7-1. The offense is top 3 in the NFL in EPA per play. And since then, Jones had his 3-game stretch where he led the league in turnover-worthy plays per game within that 3-game sample size. And now you have Jones tears his Achilles. Now you're in trouble if you're the Colts because Jones is a free agent this upcoming offseason. He wasn't one of those quarterbacks that we've talked about before that sneakily signed the 2-year deal, right? Jameis, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, right? All those guys had these 2-year deals. Daniel Jones is a 1-year deal type of a thing. And he went to an offense where he's like, hey, let's play really well, and I'll get the Baker Mayfield contract or better the following year. And I think both sides were okay with that. Now, if you're the Colts, you don't have those 2 first-round picks. You don't really have an ability to draft a quarterback. I mean, maybe later, but are you going to do that in this class? Richardson had the orbital bone fracture, so he's still out. He can't even play. He's missed almost all of this year after losing that quarterback battle to Daniel Jones. And now you're playing Riley Leonard. So I just really feel for the Colts because it's like, damn, the second they were like, okay, we're all in. Even independent of whether or not you loved the idea of giving up 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, even independent of that, just going all in and then it being truly worst-case scenario stuff for them since. It's brutal. That is brutal, and I really do feel for Colts fans.
Yeah, it is. It is not good. And all of a sudden, we've gone in a matter of about 5 weeks from thinking this team was a possible AFC contender to seriously questioning their entire future, right? You just mentioned Jones being on a 1-year contract and now going into recovery from an Achilles tear. Who's going to be the quarterback next year? If I was taking a guess, there's 2 names that come to mind. One is internal with Anthony Richardson, or 2, maybe it's Kyler Murray once Arizona cuts ties with him. Those are the 2 guys that come to mind that I think will be one of those 2 I think will be starting for this team next year. But I don't think you can re-sign Jones unless it's a real cheap 1 or maybe 2-year contract just because he's been in the building and he knows the system. But I don't see any way that he could be 100%. Going into next year or possibly deep into next year, coming off an Achilles tear. We've seen that lately. I know he's not as old, but we've seen that lately with Aaron Rodgers, with Kirk Cousins, right? They just don't look as good in that first year coming back, and Cousins has really never recovered from it. Maybe just the arm strength is gone. I mean, you have to seriously question this team's entire future. And then you mentioned it's a good conversation to have, I think. If they don't do either of those things or they're not comfortable with Richardson, take a second-round pick. Do we talk about options like Garrett Nussmeier or, whoever else is coming out, a Carson Beck somewhere in the mid-rounds? Is that any better than Riley Leonard, who's already in the system? I mean, this is about as tough a conversation with Indianapolis as you could have, because I'll be honest with you, too. You look down the stretch, even with Jones healthy and Sauce Gardner healthy, we were talking about a brutal schedule down the stretch. Mm-hmm. Seattle, San Fran, Jacksonville, Houston. I don't think they're winning another game.
So they go 8-9, which would... Let me see. What's around 500 right now? Because at this point, obviously, you don't have your first-round pick, but you want the second-round pick to be as high as possible, right? If you're thinking about it.
You'll be in the mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
Be in the mid-40s, 46, let's say 47.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, this is
tough.
This is a team. Like I said, for as hot as they were, they really are. They're gonna start 7-1.
Yeah.
And they could very well finish with this schedule 1-8. Because they just, right now, it's just, okay, if you stop Jonathan Taylor, they have absolutely nothing. And he's been under 90 rushing yards in 4 of the last 5 games.
They have a decent amount of cap space for 2026, but they also have one of the least amount of players under contract. Like, you've got to get to 53. They have 39 under contract for 2026. So they have $35 million that they can work with. So, like you said, like if Kyler Murray gets cut, they have the ability to, get Kyler Murray, and maybe that's a really quick turnaround that they're hoping for. But you have to hope that obviously Kyler gets cut and that the contract for him isn't going to be too exorbitant, because you have to fill out the rest of your roster then at that point. So it's tough. It's brutal for Colts fans. I really do feel for them. But we'll have a lot more conversation about Indianapolis as we kind of continue to go throughout this offseason. Steelers and the Ravens, next game that I want to touch on. Pittsburgh wins this one 27-22. Boy, talk about turning the clock back for Aaron Rodgers. Goodness gracious. Yeah, quarterback's playing with confidence. That dude looked like the MVP version of himself in Green Bay.
Yeah, sure did. I mean, he needed it. This was the biggest game of the year for Pittsburgh. He needed every bit of it.
Pretty crazy. Top 5 graded players that we had for Pittsburgh in this one. Cornerback James Pierre, another interception in this game, a 90.4 overall grade. Offensive guard Mason McCormick, an 84.7. Wide receiver DK Metcalf, an 83.8. Offensive tackle Troy Fautanu with a 75.6. And edge rusher Nick Herbig, a 74.5. Aaron Rodgers in this game, there it is, an 88.0 overall grade. Really good to see from him. On Baltimore's side of things, linebacker Roquan Smith, who has been really good since he has come back into the lineup after being banged up a little bit a couple weeks ago. 84.4 overall grade. Wide receiver Zay Flowers, a big game for him, a 74.8 overall grade. Cornerback Nate Wiggins, a 72.8. Offensive tackle Roger Rosengarten, a 69.2. And then running back Derrick Henry, a 68.8. Lamar Jackson, a 76.3 overall grade in this one. Dalton, what was your stat that told the story?
Look, every week, Trevor, we get a red zone team. There's always one. There is one team that
this is another one.
There is one team that loses every single week. Just who's coming out of the hat this week that loses because they didn't perform in the red zone. The other problem, not obviously a big discrepancy, but Baltimore also lost the turnover margin 1-0. And the Steelers turned that into 7 points. They went up 17-3 after the James Pierre interception. But this really, to me, is about the Ravens just not cashing in. They outgained the Steelers. They moved the ball well all day until they got in the red zone. 2 touchdowns in 6 red zone trips, 3 field goals, the turnover on downs later in the fourth quarter. Just couldn't finish drives. And you look at just certain plays. There was a 3rd and 4 slot fade to Zay Flowers. There was a power down on the goal line at a shotgun on the same side as Derrick Henry was in the formation that went nowhere. The Steelers read it properly, right? The Isaiah Likely drop in the end zone that got reviewed. It was called a catch at first and then reviewed, didn't complete the process of the catch. The Ravens had a 74.9 offensive grade before they got to the Steelers' 20-yard line. Once they got in the red zone, 52.2.
Yeah,
That's really what this comes down to is they had several opportunities, including 3 in the fourth quarter, plus another drive, the very last drive of the game when they at least got to the Steelers 30. And I have an issue with that last drive too, because from there being 1:52 left on the clock down to 47 seconds on that last drive, the Ravens ran 3 plays in 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Yeah,
there was just no urgency, especially when they had a holding call on the very first play.
Who was on the call in that game? I can't remember who it was.
Was it Eagle and Watt? I don't remember who it was, actually.
I can't remember, but whoever it was, and I'm not.
Oh no, wasn't it? Was it Jim and Tony? Might have been Jim and Tony, actually.
It might have been.
I think it was.
Whoever was the color commentator in this game was like, "Yeah, you don't need to worry about time," and then all of a sudden it got to like 40 seconds. They're like, okay, like now you need to worry about time.
They ran 3 plays.
Yeah,
ran 3 plays down a touchdown at their own 20 with a minute and 5 coming off the clock. They ran 3 plays.
Yeah, you can't do that. That's a poor team.
It just this entire Ravens offense, red zone or even other games in the open field. We saw this last week too. It just doesn't look like it's put together. It's clunky. The run game has not been as good.
Clunky is a really good word for the Ravens this year.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line is average. We call it average. It's probably in that mix. But it's not what it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe below average. I think their interior offensive line play is not good.
Derrick Henry is not what he was last year.
No,
just
he's
not the same guy running the ball.
Nope.
And Lamar Jackson does not look 100%.
Nope.
He looks like a guy playing through injuries, and he was good. He was their highest graded offensive player in this game. But it's not the Lamar Jackson we're used to seeing. And
I think it was because it was a lack of mistakes from him that he grades really high. It wasn't necessarily the ceiling.
My most disappointing part in this game out of all of it is on the outside, we're back to Zay Flowers is all they have.
Yep.
Zay Flowers had 124 yards. The rest of the team had 95 receiving yards, and there wasn't another individual with more than 25.
Yeah.
I mean, they just paid Mark Andrews a bunch of money in a 3-year extension.
It wasn't a good game for him.
Where is it? Likely with the ball in the end zone. Where is Bateman? Where is Hopkins?
Well, Bateman had the big drop in this game.
Yeah, I mean, these other guys, they cannot just be Zay Flowers. Because this is what we used to complain about was, okay, there's no depth with the Ravens receiving core. Lamar Jackson isn't playing his A-plus game. The run game isn't what it was. That's clunky. Just feels like every time I watch them, I go, there doesn't seem to be the flow that it used to have. Remember the Ravens offense really used to flow, and it was like one concept, went into the next, into the play action, into the 12 and 13 personnel and everything. And it just looks like play to play. I'm not sure what they're trying to accomplish. And then the execution in the red zone in this game is really what killed them.
And it's not just in this game either. Ravens have a 44.9% red zone percentage. Dalton, that's 30th in the NFL this year.
You don't finish drives in the NFL, you're going to lose.
Yeah, they cannot finish drives, and that's just a major Achilles heel for this team. On the Steelers side of things, Rodgers was incredible. 90.1 overall grade, 87.5. Well, that was his overall grade. Passing grade was an 87.5 overall passing grade. That was the highest single game passing grade since Week 17 against the Minnesota Vikings in 2021.
You win the MVP that year?
Yeah, because he won in 21 and 22, right?
2020, I think he won it. I think it was 20 and 21, I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was 1 and 22. Because then it was Jets, and now with the Steelers.
Maybe you're right. Was he coming right off the 2 MVPs?
I thought he was.
Let's see, now I'm going to look at it.
Now I got to know. I'm pausing the show because we got to know this.
I could have swore he won it in 2020.
I thought it was 21 and 22. No, maybe he wouldn't have been coming off the MVP.
It was.
All right, I got to stick to my guns.
20 and 21.
Damn.
22 was when he was starting to slow down.
Yeah, I was the more I was thinking about it, I was like, he wouldn't have left off an MVP
because they really.
Yeah, he
I'm
wouldn't.
Sure
he would not have left
Packers
off
fans feel they should have at least made the Super Bowl in 2020. Yeah.
So, anyways, really,
you and your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
What a ball game
Buccaneer
that was.
great.
Remember that NFC title game? What a game.
Buddy, do I ever? Yeah,
Man.
yeah. Scotty Miller in the end zone over Eric Stokes to end the first half.
Play the game.
I know.
Man.
There was.
Mike Evans, fade ball, slot fade on somebody, I remember.
Packers fans are turning this off immediately if they're watching this. Rodgers was great. I thought, much like we talked about with Trevor Lawrence a couple minutes ago, the anticipation, the confidence. I mean, he genuinely looked 10 years younger in this game.
Yep.
And it was fun to see. I don't know how much we take away from this game because there have been plenty of games this year where Rodgers has looked like he's in his 40s, and in this game, he just didn't. He just really enjoyed playing the Ravens for whatever reason, and he had their number. He recognized the coverages. He was fantastic in this game, so shout out to Aaron Rodgers.
And what he's done, what he can still do is when he recognizes the one-on-one matchups that he likes, he's going to attack them. He did that with DK Metcalf in this game, right? 12 targets, 7 catches, 148 yards, 3 explosive catches. I mean, when you need a number one receiver to step up in the biggest game, that's what it looks like, especially early in the game. You like that, and to your point, not just that he took shots, but he took shots early. They knew they had to get out ahead of this team and get off to a good start because they really started to peter out down the stretch in the second half. But the idea that, okay, DK Metcalf, we brought this guy in to be the mismatch, right, to be the matchup nightmare for any corner one-on-one. You want to go press man on DK Metcalf, you're going to have a problem, and Aaron Rodgers is still going to take those chances with him. So they got an early enough lead. They attacked early. They backed the Ravens' defense off, lost a little bit of the rhythm later on, and the Steelers, as we know, sometimes struggle to really move the ball for a full 60 minutes, but they got the job done here, and they clamped down on defense when they needed to.
Before we move on, this is actually a better question for you because I'm not sure. D. Sauter, who's in the chat all the time, we appreciate you watching the show and getting in on the chat. It's a genuine question. Daniel Falele tried to run block on a play that was a designed pass play. Does this mark as a negative play in both run and pass?
No. If it was designed to be a pass play, we will chart it as a pass play, and that'll go against the pass blocking. I think I know the exact play he's talking about too, because I forget who it was inside that he stepped up on, and it seemed like he was the only one who didn't know. But because it is a pass play, that's going to go in the pass blocking grade.
Okay. All right. So does he get
a mental error like that
Yeah.
is usually on that -1 range in there. It's just like, okay, you either forgot your assignment or even things like if you just completely just whiffed a stunt pickup, like just never saw it or something. That's usually about in that -1 range.
Gotcha. Anything else on this one before we move on?
No, big divisional win for the Steelers. And the Bengals lost. So that's sorry guys behind the glass, but Steelers are in a good spot all of a sudden.
We'll go right to this Bengals-Bills game. Bills win 39-34. It didn't look like this was going to be the final score with like a quarter left to go in this game, and then all of a sudden it just got extremely exciting down the stretch. A massive snow game in this one, which definitely affected how the game was played. We'll get to that in a second. Top 5 graded players for the Buffalo Bills as the winners of this one. Tight end Dawson Knox with a 91.6. Linebacker Christian Benford made the biggest player of the game with that interception on Joe Burrow for a pick-6 touchdown. 90.7 overall grade. Tight end Jackson Hawes, 84.1. Offensive guard Osiris Torrance, an 83.8. Offensive guard David Edwards, an 81.3. And then Josh Allen, 90.5 overall grade for Josh Allen in this one. Some phenomenal quarterback play. On Cincinnati side of things, tight end Mike Gesicki, 92.9 overall grade. Wide receiver T. Higgins with an 80.6. Offensive guard Dylan Fairchild with a 76.9. Offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr., 74.3. And then safety Jordan Battle, a 71.2. Joe Burrow, 83.1 overall grade. But, I mean, if you take out, this game felt like it was going one way, and then the 2 bad Joe Burrow throws happened. And, like, outside of those 2 bad Joe Burrow plays, the game was just kind of, like, crazy good on both sides. But obviously Burrow has the pick-6, and then the other interception. If you take both of those out, Burrow had an elite passing grade. Like, every other throw that he had was phenomenal in this game.
Honestly, if you just take out the first one, because the second one with it being Jordan Phillips tipping the ball, Burrow doesn't even get downgraded for that one. It's really just the Benford play.
And the Benford play, it was I don't know exactly what went on here. Maybe Joe Burrow talked about it after the game, and I didn't see him talk about it. But it was one of those weird plays where, like, he gets the ball and he's throwing a screen, and Benford obviously gets a really good jump on it. Like, he gets a good jump on the screen the way that, like, Andrew Van Ginkel does, which we'll talk about here for the Vikings.
Benford there is blitzing. He's blitzing off the boundary.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, he gets a good jump into the backfield, so he gets a good jump into what was eventually the passing lane of a screen pass. But you watch it and, like, the way Burrow throws it is very strange, like, even for Benford being there. And I wonder if that was just he threw it that way because it was snowy and the ball was slick. And he doesn't have the biggest hands in the world. I don't know. But it was a very strange technique in which he was trying to throw that ball. And obviously it went straight to Benford and he was able to pick it off and get the pick-6. But those are kind of the reasons why I know people out there they'll watch these snow games and they'll love them. They'll be like, real football, you know. Like, especially when the quarterback play is really good. I don't love inclement weather games because to me it takes away from what quarterbacks have the ability to do. So if this is a game where there's not 2 elite quarterbacks and the ceiling for quarterback play isn't super high, sometimes I like those weather games. But in this instance, obviously we got a fun show anyways, and it was a lot of fun to watch because the Allen Josh Allen anyways, was unbelievable in this game. It just showcases all the talent that he has. Did you see the end zone angle of the Khalil Shakir?
Yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah, it's just he can just do things that no one else can.
There are a handful of quarterbacks in the world that could attempt that throw. And complete it.
5 or 6 maybe.
Handful, right? There's a lot of quarterbacks that maybe would because it's not really a good decision. But I would argue there's only one in the world that would and could attempt that throw that went to Khalil Shakir, and it was Josh Allen. That was one of the best throws I've ever seen with everything that went into him completing that throw. It's crazy. And some Bengals fans are going to be like, you know, if the linebacker would have just put his hands up, like it would have maybe hit his hands. Like, I get it. But, like, even independent of that, to get that ball to Khalil Shakir takes an insane amount of talent. And that's the part of, like, a snow game where I go, okay, that was fun to watch Josh Allen just do things that only he can do.
Right, and especially in that building. It just feels like there's just a magic in Highmark Stadium that when Josh Allen's playing there that, like, oh, this guy. I've said it, especially at home. Josh Allen at home, I think, is the best player in football. It's just ridiculous in that building, the things he does week in and week out, and especially in this. And to your point, on a clean playing field with nice 70-degree weather, how many guys are trying that throw? How many guys are trying that throw when it's 15 degrees and snowing outside?
Well, that's
the other part of it, too.
That's what I'm saying. You got a lot of people that would attempt the throw. How many would attempt the throw and have the talent to complete it and actually get it there? I tell you, there's one. It's Josh Allen.
Yeah, especially outside rolling to his right like that. I mean, it really is. It's unbelievable the plays he can make. But this game really did come down to me to just straight momentum. And obviously that's not a very analytical thing, but for a second we can make it one, because when you look at, first of all, just before the Christian Benford pick six, okay, the Bills are down 28-18 with halfway through the fourth quarter, 7.5 minutes left. If there's one thing that actually irritated me the most from this game, do not ever, especially in a big spot, do not ever zero blitz Josh Allen. The 40-yard touchdown run before the Benford pick six that really started all of this, don't ever zero blitz Josh Allen, because even if you get a free rusher, it's not free. He's 6'5" and 240, and he
can shrug off the tackle.
He can just shrug it off or just dance right by it. I mean, and then you have all man coverage behind it with nobody with eyes on him, and that's what he's going. Anytime if you send a zero blitz at him, I think it's just absolutely foolish, and that's what Al Golden did first. Then you got the Benford pick six, which is a lot of fun when it comes to win probability and things like that, because even I believe it was at the time, we have the graphic here, the Next Gen put out a tweet about this Christian Benford pick six. Look at this. The Bills went into this play with a 16% chance to win, down 3 and the Bengals having the ball. It went all the way up to 77%. And as you see right there, since Next Gen has been tracking win probability since 2016, the biggest win probability swing on a play outside of the last 2 minutes of a game that they have tracked. Completely flipped the game on its head. Then you compound that with the very next snap for Cincinnati. Jordan Phillips tip ball, A.J. Epinesa leads to the next interception, leads to the next touchdown from Jackson Hawes eventually. The Bengals had this halfway through the fourth quarter. They had this game, and within a span of about 8 snaps, it was gone. It was just gone. And I think it again speaks to the fact that this team, with their defense, and they didn't run the ball very well in this game, they're too reliant on Joe Burrow to carry them through it. And he makes one mistake and has one other unfortunate bounce, and the game gets away from him.
Yeah.
And then once again, when Burrow gives them one more shot to get back in it, 3rd and 15, we go match quarters on the back end. Nobody's got eyes on Allen. I don't know how you can get in big spots like this, especially in 2nd and 3rd and long with Josh Allen, and not account for him running the football. Those two plays made no sense to me from that standpoint. I go, this, especially in the snow. I'm like, if you lose a one-on-one matchup with Gabe Davis, or somehow he gets over the top of you in the year 2025, so be it. You cannot let him run the football and just go dashing through the snow and have big 240. You like that? Big 200 December football. Big 240-pound Josh Allen just running free with all the momentum, because you're not gonna get a one-on-one tackler in open space on him. He might be the hardest guy, running backs included. He might be the hardest guy in football to tackle.
Yeah,
and twice in those spots there was just no chance in the open field.
He is built for, and we saw this when he was at Wyoming, right? We saw a lot of this at Wyoming, because Wyoming's got a handful of games every year where it's going to be bitter cold. It might be snowing. We saw this from him there. So him being at home in Buffalo, I think that he's.
And this is the exact scenario that was talked about when he was drafted. This is a guy who can play in these conditions. When it's talked about guys like Tua and Kyler Murray and Bryce Young maybe can't do that because they can't do these things and just physically can't get through the weather like that. I mean, just an unbelievable game from Allen, but it really did to me come down to about that 4-minute stretch when you just got this wild swing of momentum in Buffalo's favor, as they often get in that stadium.
Only other thing that I had in this game, James Cook, 2 fumbles for the 2nd week in a row, 1 loss. So he's had 1 lost fumble in each of the last 2 weeks. Obviously, it's just something that's got to get cleaned up for this Buffalo team. Anything else from you on this one? I mean,
as we saw again, the Bengals can't cover tight ends. How about the day Dawson Knox had? I know it's usually Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid was up there too.
He sure was. I mean, the Bengals, they just have no answer for tight ends. They just can't.
Yeah.
Knox, 92.2 receiving grade, 6 catches for 93 yards, 4 first downs. He was outstanding in this game too. And big Dawson Knox, 260 pounds, not easy to tackle in the snow either. That's for sure.
No, that the Bills went heavy tight end offense when you want to in a game like this, and it just goes to show they drafted in a way where they predicted wanting to win football games like this. And I think that's always fun to see when the draft strategy works out. PFF holiday sale. I mentioned it at the top of the show, but for anybody who has joined here in the middle of things, Holiday 30 gets you 30% off a PFF Plus subscription, which gets you a ton of different stuff. Obviously, you get the grades that we're talking about here on the show. You get the premium stats, but so much more than that. You get the fantasy football tools. You get the player prop tool, which the player prop tool, it shows you all kinds of stuff. It's not just like, oh, okay, like this is a line that we kind of like. We have the predictions in there, but then we'll also shop the line around for you. So we'll look at all the different books. We'll tell you where the biggest cover probability is with the different lines that you'll see in different places. And so you can check out, afterwards, you can check out all of the bets that hit, all the ones that didn't. Obviously, you can see on the screen right there, that is this week. So you see a lot of those bets that they had the highest cover probability did in fact cover. So you guys can see that over at pff.com. And like I said, if you have a PFF Plus subscription, you can see all that kinds of stuff. You can even like sort by, if you only are betting on a single book, you can also sort by that as well, where you're like, okay, well, just look at a certain book, FanDuel, DraftKings, things like that. And then, yeah, you can sort it by cover probability, the edge percentage, which is where our projections come into play. So a lot of stuff to play around with there if you're a bettor at all, whether you're just very casual, just getting into it, or you're a pro bettor. There's all sorts of data that you guys can utilize there. So check that out if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription. Holiday 30 gets you 30% off that to see all that and so much more.
I always think the funniest ones to see in all the books are the set of quarterbacks that get the over-under half a rushing yard every week. And the under hits, like didn't Tom Brady hit like almost every week one year with that?
I've hit so many Matthew Stafford under rushing yard over like 0.5 or under 0.5 rushing yards this game or this year, because we've had a high cover probability for it, and then you booked it off. So it's like, okay,
there's just this set of guys where it's legitimately just like, no, he's not going to run the ball.
Yeah,
and he doesn't run the ball 80% of the week, so he's just not going to do it. It's hilarious.
It's a numbers game, baby. That's why we got the numbers for you. Saints, Buccaneers. We'll be extremely quick with this one because I don't want to talk about it very much. No, I'm kidding. We'll give it the full breakdown that it deserves. 24-20, New Orleans wins this game in Tampa Bay. Another game that really was affected by the weather, as it was rainy down in Tampa like it was in Jacksonville. Top 5 graded players that we had for the New Orleans Saints: linebacker Pete Warner with an 84.9, tight end Juwan Johnson with an 84.1, cornerback Alontae Taylor with an 80.5, offensive tackle Kelvin Beggs Jr. with a 79.9, defensive tackle Nathan Shepard rounding things out in the top 5 with a 78.3. But then quarterback Tyler Shuck, 83.7. Overall grade. Look at that picture. Got the shoulder pads popping out.
Pouring rain in Tampa, too. Not that that's breaking news or anything, but
hits, diving into the end zone. On Tampa side of things, defensive tackle Vita Vea with a 90.0. Running back Rachaad White with a 71.8. Running back Bucky Irving with a 71.8 for Rachaad White, and then a 70.8 for Bucky Irving. Luke Gedeke, their offensive tackle, with a 68.7. Edge rusher Yaya Diaby, a 65.9. And then Baker Mayfield in this game, a 37.6. I'll start with my most disappointing against Baker Mayfield. I've talked about this for the last 3 weeks straight. Baker Mayfield is not this hot and cold quarterback right now. He's just cold. That's it. Even before the shoulder injury, he's just cold. He was an MVP caliber quarterback for the first 5 weeks of the season, and from week 6 on, he has been one of the most unreliable quarterbacks. He's been one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks, and he has one of the lowest plus accuracy throw percentages in the NFL. So Baker Mayfield right now is not giving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a chance to win the game. Now, I'm not saying that they should put Teddy Bridgewater in and that Bridgewater would for sure do a better job than Baker Mayfield. But what I am saying is that the way that Mayfield is playing right now is not giving Tampa Bay a chance to win the game. And we've seen that for the last month and a half, I would say. And I don't know if it's the shoulder necessarily, because it's not his throwing shoulder, it's the other shoulder. But, is that affecting him a lot? It's just, the accuracy is so poor. In this game, he had a 37% uncatchable pass percentage. 37%. Almost 40% of your passes are so inaccurate that they're uncatchable. Nobody's going to win that way. Unless you have Jonathan Taylor rushing for 250 yards, nobody's going to win like that. And a team that has been as poor as the Saints have all year long can come into Tampa and beat you again when you play that poorly. So that to me that was my most disappointing, and that sort of goes into the stat that told the story, which I know you're going to talk about here. Third down, fourth down. I mean, the Bucs were 2-7 on fourth down. Now, one of those fourth downs was a Hail Mary at the end of the half, so okay, you can take that away. But still, 2 for 6 on fourth down situations. I mean, the Saints had your number. They wanted it more. They executed better. Same thing on third down. Third down was barely better. And when you don't have the ability to gain first downs through the air consistently, these are the numbers that you're going to see. So Tampa is going in the absolute wrong direction. They were down Tristan Wirfs in this game. Tristan Wirfs didn't play. Mike Evans obviously is not playing. There's a chance that both him and Jalen McMillan could come back. Chris Godwin looks a little bit better. And so there's a world where very soon, maybe even for Thursday Night Football this week, Tampa's wide receiver core is Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillan for the first time all season, perhaps. And maybe you can convince yourselves that them getting healthier on offense makes things a little bit better. But to be honest with you, it doesn't even matter what receivers are out there because Baker's been so poor at getting them the football.
Right now, the early success looks like it was a product of Baker for 5 weeks being the best deep ball passer in the league. As teams have taken that away, he has not found other answers in this game. How about 1 for 10 in the intermediate range with 3 turnover-worthy plays?
Yeah. That's the killer.
The Saints, Brandon Staley called a really good game when it comes to he's a heavy zone coverage guy, but the Saints did a great job of staying over the top and then mixing it up here and there with man coverage that really confused Mayfield, and he just doesn't look confident throwing the ball right now. I don't even think it's a mechanical problem. I don't even think, obviously, the injury might be something when it comes to his mechanics, but I don't see anything that different. This team, I'd like to say it's one thing, but the passing game in general just looks broken.
No, it is one thing. It is one thing. It's Baker.
It is, but they also, Chris Godwin does not look totally like Chris Godwin.
And he had a drop, and I get it, but the problem is Baker. He is more than 50%, in my opinion, of their issues in the passing game. He is not giving them a chance to win.
I get it. I also think there, at this point, this many weeks in a row, there needs to be an emphasis, like we saw under the previous 2 offensive coordinators, when they were struggling to get the ball vertical like this. There were answers underneath to emphasize yards after catch, right? Mm-hmm. There were answers to get the ball to the backs or to just kind of take the pressure off of Baker to have to force it vertically. We're not getting that right now either. I don't think the play calling's helping him either. I don't think anything stacks like it did under the last 2. And look, they're 2 great offensive coordinators. That's why they're head coaches now, right? Mm-hmm. And now Josh Grizzard, I think, is under a lot of pressure to try to figure this out. But they're not figuring it out. And I mean, to go a combined 5 for 20 on third and fourth down. Here's the fun one. 4 third down conversions in this game. All right. It was 3 of them. 3 of them on third down on pass plays. Mm-hmm. All 3 of them scrambles. They did not on third or fourth down complete a pass that gained a first down. That's only the 9th time this year that's happened. Mm-hmm. And the Bucs are the only team among those 9 to do it twice. This is and the funny part is the first one was actually a win over San Francisco, and they were physically dominating that game, and he had a couple of deep shots. They so badly need to win on Thursday. I don't have to tell you that twice. And I believe Carolina's playing Seattle this coming week, I want to say. They so badly need to win this week, Thursday, against the Falcons. Because if they don't, the Panthers are sitting there licking their chops.
Panthers play the Saints.
It's the Saints. They get Seattle. It's Tampa and then Seattle. Okay, Seattle's the later one.
They are Tampa. They are Tampa, Seattle, Tampa.
And for the sake of tiebreakers, also, this was the absolute worst game the Bucs could have lost.
Yeah.
Because the Panthers, you had a tiebreaker in hand with the division record if you split.
Right.
Because the Panthers lost to the Saints.
Right.
This is the absolute worst game the Bucs could have lost.
Yep.
Was this game right
And
here.
The problem with Tampa is when you look at how, shout out to Tyler Shuck and specifically the RPO plays where he was able to keep it and become a runner and have those plays where he was able to get to the outside. Tampa has not been good with outside run. Remember that New England Patriots game? How poor they were at defending the sideline when it came to the run game? Guess who the Bucs' opponent is in the middle of the Carolina games? It's the Dolphins. What do the Dolphins do? They run to the outside.
Yep. And
Jalen Wright had over 100 yards when Devon Achane got hurt.
Yep.
Because that team is so good at outside zone and pull lead plays, which we'll get to when we analyze the Dolphins game here in a few minutes. But, Tampa's in trouble, man. Tampa's in big trouble. And the whole season's going to come down to those two Panthers games.
We've talked about it behind the scenes, too. A big reason for that, their linebackers, they just can't get lateral.
No.
They cannot. Levante David, love him. Future
Hall
of Famer, maybe.
He's a step behind.
But he is absolutely a step behind, and Servassier Dennis is a step behind as well. It is a real problem at the second level, this team trying to work laterally right now in the run game. It's an issue. But like you mentioned, Tyler Shuck, what a gutsy performance in the pouring rain.
Gutsy's a great word for it.
And the Saints, you could feel the Saints, especially as the second half went on, they smelled blood in the water, man. And Tyler Shuck kind of talked about it after the game. He goes, we believed we could beat this team. We, last time it was, Spencer Rattler getting benched at halftime and Shuck coming out playing. They just never had a shot in that game. They didn't execute well in that game. But they felt like, I thought Brandon Staley did a great job on defense of just understanding how to limit the big plays for the most part from the Bucs and making them work underneath. Tyler Shuck, couple of huge, I'll tell you a couple of big plays, more even as much as the runs. It was a couple of huge throws to Devon Vele in a 4-minute drill that they didn't quite get to finish off, but they burned a lot of clock out. There was 2 third-down conversions I was really impressed with late from Shuck to Vele. And I just think you have Tyler Shuck, who, as opposed to Spencer Rattler in the gunslinging ways that we got earlier in the year with all the turnover where he plays, what you're getting with Shuck is just an understanding of situations, right? And he's given him a chance to win because of that, because he's not giving the football away. No turnover where he plays in this game. There was a lot of this game in the passing game for the Saints. It wasn't flashy either. It was pouring rain, but he made enough throws to get it done. He made enough runs to get it done, right? It was 7 carries for 55 yards and the 2 touchdowns. I mean, just doing what it takes to win. It's good that Tyler Shuck is learning that right now under Kellen Moore as this team really tries to figure out their identity.
Shout out to Mario Davis. Shout out Granderson, who I thought was both of those guys, just the wise front 7 players for the New Orleans Saints. I thought were really able to show up in this game and have some really highly impactful plays.
Shout out the secondary, man. Kool-Aid McKinstry was really good. Alante Taylor with an interception.
Graded really well.
I'm telling Brandon Staley, there have been certain games this year where Brandon Staley has really had this defense playing up and keeping them in games. And this was absolutely one of them because they were behind for a bit in this game. And when they really figured out that the rhythm they had of the Bucs, they weren't going to get over the top on them. They played deep shell zone early in the game, and it started creeping forward because they knew that space was just, and in the rain especially, that Baker was just not going to get it over the top. It wasn't happening. So credit Brandon Staley and just you mentioned that entire defensive unit. Really, they were awesome.
Anything else on this one?
Nope. The Bucs, as you well know, they're in trouble. That's a problem right now.
Thanks, Dalton. Appreciate it.
I mean, coming from
Seahawks and the Falcons.
We'll get to Jets Dolphins in a minute.
The next game that we've got here.
Kick me while I'm down, why don't you?
I didn't do that. You picked the Jets on your own. The Seahawks and the Falcons. This game was in Atlanta, but Seattle. It's 37-9. That's not how the game felt. You have a point on this, how it just felt like the second half there was just a levee that broke or an avalanche that started that you couldn't stop. But for a while, this game was at least within striking distance for Atlanta, but obviously that's not how the final score showed up on the scoreboard. The top 5 graded players that we had for the Seattle Seahawks: cornerback Devin Witherspoon with a 95.0 overall grade. Monster in this one. Tight end Nick Callip with a 79.7. Wide receiver Rashid Shaheed, 77.0. Linebacker Drake Thomas, 76.5. Edge rusher Derek Hall, 74.0. Quarterback Sam Darnold with a 72.2 overall grade. On Atlanta's side of things, offensive guard Chris Lindstrom, as he often was, he was their highest graded player with a 77.8. Edge rusher Arnold Ebiketie with a 76.6. Offensive guard Matthew Bergeron, a 71.9. Offensive tackle Elijah Wilkinson, with a 70.2, and then linebacker Divine Diablo with a 68.5. Kirk Cousins in this game, a 62.7. Dalton, South told the story.
As you mentioned, Trevor, this game was 6-6 at halftime. And both defenses playing really well. Jeff Ulbrich getting the blitz packages going on Sam Darnold like we talked about in the preview, right? Seattle kind of looked like, okay, are we concerned now? We got to a point where, are we concerned about their offense? Or should we be a little worried about it? And then Rashid Shaheed decided with the opening kickoff of the second half to house it and just kick the door down, and the rest of the team followed suit. You look at this. You had the touchdown from Shaheed. Then you had 3 more touchdowns and a field goal in between. You had 3 turnovers forced by the defense. Seattle had 8.4 yards per play and an 82 offensive grade in the second half. We've said this more often about the Seahawks in the first half of games, coming out the first 3 or 4 drives of the game. They just waited 30 minutes to do it instead. And I think the 2 big special teams plays, too, really gave them a lot of energy. Obviously, the Shaheed kick return, and then in the first half, how about the Nicky Manwari blocked field goal, right? I mean, it looked for 30 minutes like we were getting this tight defensive game that could keep the Falcons in it. And then Seattle was just like, no, we're not doing this. And credit Clint Kubiak, because I think they came out early in this game offensively a little more spread out than usual, a little more shotgun than usual, trying to really space out the Falcons so Ulbrich wouldn't attack Darnold so much because they're trying to work around. Again, Atlanta blitzes at the second highest rate in the league.
Yeah. Because if you're more condensed and you're under center, it's a little bit easier to do that because you got more bodies in the box.
Right. But they tried to spread it out, and it didn't really work, and I don't think Darnold was reacting to it well. And so they went back in at halftime, and Kubiak, then they ran 2/3 of their plays in the second half from under center. And just get back to the identity. Let's just do what we do. Let's quit screwing around.
It's good coaching.
This team is not going to score on us because Kirk Cousins without Drake London is just not going to score on the Seattle defense, right? They're not going to score on us. Plus, they got the Shaheed kick return that gave them a lead, which probably helped. But Kubiak went in at halftime, I think, and said, listen, we're going to run our stuff. We're going to get under center. We're going to get in 12. We're going to run some zone. We're going to get Darnold going in play action. We're going to leave 6 or 7 in protection in case the blitzes are coming. And we're going to do what we usually do. And it's almost like it was kind of flipped, where it was just like what's usually their opening identity first half game plan. They didn't save it. I don't think they saved it. I think they came out more spread out with a purpose because they were worried about these blitzes. And then they just said, you know what? Screw it. We're better. Let's just do what we do and be better than them. And that's really what happened in the second half.
Yeah. The stat that told the story for me was the Falcons on third down. They were 1 for 13. 45.5% of their third down passes came short of the sticks. I went back and I watched all of the third down attempts from them. It's just not dynamic with Kirk. I mean, like when you have a third down with this team, you're basically just playing sticks coverage. Like he's not going to throw it over top of you. When you at least have Michael Penix, there's at least a threat, right? Where if you have all of your eyes towards the first down marker, he can hit you over the top. And that's when you can't do that when you have a quarterback who has those capabilities. And Kirk Cousins, he's not that type of a quarterback. So what I saw in this game was the first downs that they did get, they were barely getting them. It's not a lot of like, okay, you cleared this first down by 3 or 4 yards, or this is a good yards after catch opportunity, or this is a big play over the top on third down or whatever. It was a lot of stuff that was short of the sticks. It was dependent on yards after catch opportunities, and when they were getting first down, they were barely getting first down. So I think it's just what you said. It's the quarterback change, not having as live of an arm as Penix has. I have Drake London in this one, and it's just going to be hard to win, especially when you're playing a good Seattle Seahawks team. Most impressive was Devon Witherspoon. I felt like he was all over the place in this game. He was locked down. He was so impactful. I believe it was pass rush, run defense, coverage grades, all above 78. So it was just a monster all-around game from him. He had a couple of those when he was at Illinois, which gave you a lot of faith in him being a really good pro in the NFL, and he's been able to translate that pretty well. Most disappointing for me, I'll just kind of rattle off all my notes here. A.J. Terrell, the corner for the Atlanta Falcons, I thought he had a rough game. Now, obviously, everybody who guards Jackson Smith-Njigba has a rough week. We've seen this season, but 30.0 overall grade. And specifically, the run defense stuff when we got into the second half was disappointing. I mean, there was that one over the middle. I think it was just like an over route where Smith-Njigba was just cutting to the inside. He catches the football, and Terrell allows the catch, but then he has an opportunity to tackle Smith-Njigba, and the tackle attempt was like he didn't really care. And Smith-Njigba runs past him. Wasn't really a good tackle attempt. Smith-Njigba scores.
Oh, and that's when Xavier Watts had the bad angle too, right?
Yes, yeah, and when he had the bad angle as well. And, he didn't have a good angle, but, Terrell could have got a lot more on Smith and Jigba, and he just didn't. And I think at that point of the game, I think the Falcons overall were just like, all right.
It felt like on both sides when Rashid Shaheed, when he housed the opening kickoff in the second half, that it just all of a sudden was like, we're back here now.
Right.
Where this is just like, this is Seattle and this is Atlanta. No, for sure. Witherspoon, like you said, just a monster. Interception, pass breakup that leads to another interception from Eamon Wari, 2 run stops. I mean, I've said it before. I mean, coverage is obviously outstanding, but he's a linebacker in a corner's body. Man, the level of aggression is just it's so much fun to watch with him. Just this Seattle defense, it really embodies their entire defense, just how aggressive they are. So took them a while, but they played a great game. They get out with an easy win.
The Dolphins took on the New York Jets. Dolphins.
What did they take on exactly?
The win.
Oh, okay.
The city of Gotham with the Gotham City uniforms that the Jets were wearing.
Oh.
0-1. It's tough.
Yeah, we might be able to leave those behind.
Yeah. 34-10 was the final score in this game. Top 5 graded players that we had for Miami. Running back Devon Achane with the 91.1 overall grade at the top of their list. Linebacker Terrell Dodson with an 84.2. Linebacker Jordan Brooks an 80.5. Cornerback Rasul Douglas a 79.9. And then center Aaron Brewer with a 78.2. Tua Tagovailoa in this game was not asked to do a lot. 54.9 overall grade in the win. On the Jets side of things, linebacker Mikael Walker with a 77.4. Edge rusher Jermaine Johnson a 76.0. Offensive tackle Olu Fashanu with a 75.6. Defensive tackle Juwan Briggs with a 72.5. Edge rusher Michael Clemens with a 71.5. Then Brady Cook, 31.1. Not great. I like the jerseys. You don't like them?
There's not really much to them.
Yeah. I kind of like them. That's kind of clean. I mean, they don't really have any Jets colors in them.
Right.
So I think there are a lot of people who are purist about, like you have to use the team's colors, right? Like, obviously, I graduated from the University of Florida. I'm a Florida Gator guy. When they came out with the all black uniforms, I know a lot of people were mad about that because they're like, black is not one of our colors. Like,
I thought they were fine. I didn't have an issue.
No, I like the jersey too. Like, visually, I thought they looked great, but I think some people are like, it's not part of our color wheel. Like, black is not a color for Florida. Florida is orange and blue and white. And they're like, black is just not a color for us. And I think some people might look at the Jets jerseys and be like, okay, well, where is any Jets color? Because there wasn't any Jets colors in there. I like the jerseys though.
Maybe considering the game they played, that might be better. Be like, well, who is that? Oh, it's the Jets.
Oh, you're saying they didn't? They could have.
It might be better that you couldn't recognize them.
Okay.
Yeah, that might be better.
Interesting twist.
Well, stat that tells a story for me.
Yes.
If you happen to miss this game, which a lot of you probably did, and that's okay, you could watch the first 12 minutes of it and then shut the TV off, and you will know exactly how it went.
Yeah, didn't the Dolphins go touchdown, touchdown, touchdown?
They scored on their first 3 drives.
Yeah, it's over. It's over.
The Jets, 3-and-out first drive.
Nice.
Tyrod Taylor throws an interception. That ends up being his last snap of the game.
Because he got hurt.
Pulled his groin.
Yep.
And then the Dolphins, that was their 3rd touchdown after the interception. And it was 21-0, and Brady Cook was in the game. And that's about all you need to know, really. If you want more fun stats, I have them because I don't know why I wasted my time with them this morning. The Dolphins had 178 yards, 10 first downs, and 5 explosive plays on their first 3 drives. That's how you go up 21-0. The Jets had 103 yards, 5 first downs, and 2 explosive plays in the first 3 quarters. There's your ball game.
Yeah, I mean, when you go up 2 scores on the New York Jets, and didn't they get a kicker punt return touchdown?
They did.
In this game?
The Jets have that's the craziest part. The Jets have the best special teams in the NFL.
Right.
It's the rest of the team that's a problem.
If you go up 2 scores at any point in time on the Jets, but specifically within the first quarter and a half, the game's over.
You could just run the clock.
Yeah.
Which actually would be fine. Yeah. Just run. Once it got to 20.
Like in high school, you just agree to a running clock in the second half.
Yeah.
You know,
they have it in college too. I've seen it happen in college.
Not as much, but yes.
Yeah.
It does happen. When you get some of those cupcakes where it's like, the week before rivalry week or like week 2 or 3 in college football, it's just like, hey, we don't want to hang 100 on you.
We got a flight home.
Right. Haven't seen any NFL though. Don't think we will.
No, probably not. They're professionals.
Stat that told the story was, in theory, they're professionals. The stat that told the story was, the first 3 possessions. If you go up early on the Jets, they're just not going to beat you. My most impressive in this game, I touched on a little bit a few minutes ago when I was talking about this. The Dolphins running back skill set identification. I love it. Right? You don't just draft random players because you kind of like them. What are they to your team specifically? For the last couple of weeks, I have been consistently reminding you, the chat, the listeners, everything about what the Dolphins do well. What are the 2 running concepts that they do that allows them to have the highest rushing grade and the best output? It is outside zone and it is pull lead plays where they are getting outside the numbers and to the sideline. That is where Devon Achane is at his best. Get him out to the sideline. Let him read 1 key block as a lead blocker, or let him read 1 rushing lane, be able to 1 cut up the field. That's where he is at his best. Devon Achane gets hurt in this game. Jalen Wright comes into this game, and guess what 2 running concepts he had the highest grade in? Outside zone, pull lead. Why? Because they're the same skill set type of back. Devon Achane is obviously better at it, but I liked this landing spot for Jalen Wright, and I was pretty high on Jalen Wright. I had Jalen Wright RB4 in that class, I think. I had him 1 spot. I had a Bucky Irving, actually, which I wish I had a Bucky Irving higher, but still. The reason why is because I looked at how explosive and athletic he was, and I was like, man, if you get him in an outside zone rushing scheme, he can play pretty well in the NFL. He's in one of those schemes, and he's able to play pretty well when Achane eventually got hurt. So, shout out to the Dolphins. I think it's a really good job of the scouting staff just identifying what types of players they want their offense to be able to go to, even as the backup players. And then the most disappointing,
me, yes.
You picking the Jets.
Yeah. I just had to go and listen to my brother. He was guaranteeing a Jets win this week, and it was. I will not pick.
Okay, but you should have known at that moment. Anybody that uses the word guarantee.
Yeah.
With the Jets.
I think the only 2 times I've picked them this year were in the 2 Dolphin games, and they went out and just got whacked in both of them. I will spoil the preview. I will not pick the Jets in any of their last 4
games. Oh, come on.
games.
You got to give people a reason to watch.
We'll still analyze it for sure.
Who do the Jets have?
I will tell you why I'm not picking them.
Last 4 games. Hey.
Oh, jeez.
It's at Jacksonville.
They ain't winning that.
Then it's in New Orleans.
Right now, they're not winning that.
And then it's the Patriots and the Bills.
Yeah, I'm not picking them. I'm just not doing it. For both.
Spoiler alert, I'm not either.
I've
Which would
both,
give them
both times against the Dolphins.
Which would give them 3 wins on the year?
Yes. Which would probably put you, I think they're at number 7 in the draft right now. They'd probably get you in the top 5. Especially, losing to the Saints. That's pretty clutch right there, actually.
Yes, losing to the Saints would be very clutch if you can give the Saints another win. If Cleveland could win another game, that'd be huge for you. Man, what's Washington's schedule down the stretch? Giants, Eagles, Dallas, Eagles. Ugh!
That's a tough one.
You're probably not going to jump the Commanders. If the Jets lose to the Saints, and then if Cleveland can get 1 more, what's Cleveland's schedule? Cleveland's got Chicago, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Cincy.
And don't forget, that's that stretch where the Saints play the Jets and the Titans back-to-back weeks. How about it? Man, Saints could go on a little run here. Could they win the division? I don't know if they're mathematically still in it. But
no, there's no way.
Okay. Wasn't sure. Big win yesterday.
The Jets could get in top 5. It's unlikely.
They're number 7 right now.
That's what I'm saying. So if you eliminate the 2 teams, they could. But you got to hope that the Saints, you got to lose to the Saints, and then the Browns have to win 1 more of the ones that I just rattled.
The fun part, though, really.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun's the word.
Is if the Colts are going to go and lose out now, and they're 8-9.
Ooh.
And then this problem they have next year.
Could have a top 15 pick.
See that?
Ooh. Could have a top 5 pick and a top 15.
And then we have no idea what the Colts quarterback situation looks like next year. We got 3 first-round picks in 2027.
Oh, yeah.
The whole Packers-Dallas thing is a thing, too. But
what do you mean Packers-Dallas?
So, in the Quinnen Williams trade, the Cowboys sent us a second this year and a first in 2027. But remember, they had the first from the Parsons trade. They are sending the Jets the better of those 2 picks.
When you say better, you mean the lower selected.
Whichever is picking higher in the order between the Cowboys and the Packers.
When you say higher in the order,
Better.
When you say better.
Towards Jeremiah Smith. There's the draft language for you.
So worth the payoff. That was so worth the payoff.
I had to put it in draftinese for you.
I can't tell you how many times I have that same conversation with people where they're just like, oh yeah, the pick got better. And they're like, oh, what do you mean better? You mean better as in like they're picking higher, or they're better as in they're better as a team? It's like, oh, okay, well they're picking higher. And they'd be like, oh, okay, well, what do you mean picking higher? Do you mean like higher number?
Which one do you want more in April? Damn it. Yeah.
Higher towards Jeremiah Smith was absolutely the way that we needed to wrap that up and end it. Okay, the Titans and the Browns. Speaking of the Browns,
these two teams were not playing for a draft pick in this game.
No, they weren't.
This was low-key an awesome football game.
This was actually a very fun football game, and you and I predicted a stinker, as I think most people would have, but this ended up being a really, really fun game to watch. Tennessee gets their second win of the year. 31-29 was the final score here. Man, in Cleveland, too. It's crazy. Tennessee's top 5 graded players on the day. Our boy, safety Kevin Winston Jr. with an 85.0 overall grade. Running back Tony Pollard with an 82.9. Offensive guard Peter Skoronski an 80.5. Running back Tajay Spears a 79.7. And then Jeffrey Simmons rounded things out in the top 5 with a 77.3. Quarterback Cam Ward in this game a 53.0. On Cleveland side of things, linebacker Devin Bush, who is having a really good year. 90.3 overall grade. Tight end Harold Fannin Jr. an 88.8. Edge rusher Myles Garrett, an 83.7. Linebacker Carson Schwessinger with an 81.6. And then cornerback Tyson Campbell rounding out their top 5 with a 73.3. Shedeur Sanders in this game, a 76.2 overall grade. Dalton, what was your stat that told the story?
So, despite Sanders actually having, outside of a couple rookie mistakes, having a really good game, the reason, look, the Browns actually had the better quarterback in this game. The reason the Titans won is because they had a decided advantage running the football. Rushing grade, Tennessee 82, Cleveland 64. Rushing yards, Tennessee 184, the Browns just 67, and 29 of those from Shedeur Sanders. Season high for Tennessee in basically every rushing statistic you can think of. Yards before, yards after contact, yards in total, rushing grade, first downs, anything. Basically everything. This was by far, and maybe the least expected part of this, in Cleveland, where the run defense has been absolutely elite this year.
Yeah.
The Titans decided to have their best day running the football. Now, I thought Mike McCoy did a really good job of outflanking the defensive line with multiple tight ends, motion to drag the linebackers to the strong side, and then running backdoor on them. I think it was a really well-called game. And especially since the Browns are such a heavy four-man front team, I thought on the weak side especially they did a nice job of using that bubble between the 1 tech and the 7 tech over there, the nose tackle and the defensive end. There's a lot of space in those four-man fronts between those two guys. They used the weak side. They leveraged things on the strong side with 2 tight ends when they wanted to. Even when they were running towards Myles Garrett, they had a plan for it. It was a really good game plan from Mike McCoy in the run game, and Tony Pollard ran his butt off, man. He was outstanding in this game. I mean, if the Titans could just bottle this game up in the run game and bring it with them into the future, next week, couple weeks from now, into next year, they'd be feeling really good about their offense because this is exactly what's been missing all season.
I did not expect for this type of a performance to come against Cleveland, but like you said, I think their game plan was really good. I think no Malik Collins for the defensive line probably meant a great deal in this one. Malik Collins has been a better pass rusher than he has been a run defender so far this season, but he gets hurt last week. He's no longer in the lineup, and I do think that ended up being a factor in them just trying to figure things out and play in different spots and pick up that slack a little bit. And I feel like that probably went into a little bit of a defensive step back for them in the run defense game. My stat that told the story, to be honest with you, it's kind of just Shedeur Sanders' entire stat line, because Shedeur actually gave this team a chance to win the game. Now, I know it's like they couldn't even beat the Titans, but they scored 29.
Well, and even bigger than that, right? They were down 31-17.
Yeah,
and they had a chance. They had a chance to tie the game. When's the last time? We haven't said that about the Browns in a couple of years.
He gave them a chance to win this game.
Yeah.
Now, I understand Joe Flacco starting the season because I don't think Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, either of them would have been ready in week 1. So, I get that. But, this is why I say Shedeur kind of at this point has to start the rest of the season. Like, don't even if Shedeur struggles a little bit, don't even think about putting Dillon Gabriel back in there. Gabriel did not really give you a chance to win football games. Unless your defense was holding the other team to 14 total points and Judkins was running the ball really well, the Browns were not going to win. Now we're in a situation where they didn't run the ball particularly well. They didn't have a great defense. It was snowing. It was windy. Shedeur gave you a chance to win.
Yeah.
Shedeur had 3 big-time throws in this game. The throws to the breadbasket throw in the end zone to Njoku was a thing of beauty. And the touchdown to Jerry Jeudy, where he layers it right in between the second level and the third level. I mean, that is beautiful stuff from Shedeur. Now, was it a perfect game? No. He had a couple of turnover-worthy plays in this game as well. Like, it was. There were times when he was playing with fire in the backfield when it came to getting sacks or almost taking sacks, things like that. So it in no way was a perfect game from Sanders. But without question, he gives you a chance to win when Dillon Gabriel has not so far this season. So as we go into this offseason, the Browns currently pick 4th overall. Now, thankfully for them, this loss against the Titans gets them a little bit closer even into the top 3, and they have a pretty low strength of schedule, so they're winning all the tiebreakers with the other 3 and 10 teams. So they're still at the top of that list. You're going to have an opportunity to maybe either pick a quarterback or move up for a quarterback in this upcoming draft. You've got to have as clear of a picture as you can on the guys that you currently have on the roster. And Shedeur so far is getting better as the weeks are going on. Now, again, it was the Titans. Titans aren't a very good football team. I understand. But you should give him these next 4 games to figure out if he can continue to get better here. Because he's the first quarterback since a couple of early Joe Flacco games in the early part of the season where I felt like the quarterback play in Cleveland gave them a chance to win this game.
He gives them something to think about. And does our resident Browns fan producer Tyler, do you have one of these graphics here with Sanders' box score here and some of the things that Cleveland Browns fans just haven't seen before? How about this? 2 rookie QBs in the Super Bowl era with 350 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Shedeur Sanders and Joe Burrow. Now, if that doesn't give Browns fans at least 1 week of hope, I don't know what will. He's also the first Browns quarterback since 1950, right? Isn't that the Otto Graham days going back then, right? 300 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Browns fans
since the merger.
No, the merger's 1970. Can't do the merger. That's 1970.
Well, you can still say since the merger. You know,
well, yeah.
The first time
Sure.
I just love a good since the merger stat.
Oh, so I could have gone.
Like the sentence starts with since the merger.
Well, what I should have done then is gone since 20 years before the merger, without explicitly saying, for those who don't know, what the merger is.
Right.
Then they'll have to look it up. Damn, what's the merger?
What's the merger?
We got to figure out what was merged.
Yeah.
I'll find out. Read up on it. But no, I mean, Browns fans, hell, some would say maybe they got the best result out of this. We got a dynamite Shedeur game. And we're moving up in the draft.
Yeah, and they lost.
Right?
Yeah.
And to me, I've been of the mindset for the Browns in the draft where, look, I need to come out of the first round with an offensive lineman and a wide receiver because nothing gets fixed until they fix those 2 things, right? But if Shedeur gives you something to think about, wasn't this always kind of the idea? Find out. I mean, it's with any position, but find out who on the roster is worth keeping.
Yeah, and
let's see if he can stack them up.
And from the rookie quarterback perspective, there's it's one thing to say, oh, the most valuable, thing that you can have in sports is a franchise quarterback who's on a rookie contract. Well, you take that to the nth degree with a 5th-round rookie quarterback who's not making anything on your cap.
Look what the Niners built with Brock Purdy.
Right, that's
now,
what I'm saying.
We're a long way from that in Cleveland. But
right.
But even the idea of if he's,
that's why he should start.
Even if
that's
he's not,
why he
right,
should
even
start.
if he's
that's
not a Super Bowl caliber quarterback.
Yes.
What if you went into next year going, you know what? Sure.
He can win us some games.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Because you can still stall and build the rest of the team along the way with
right.
2 first-rounders. From one
right.
from the Travis Hunter trade now
right.
the Jacksonville one will be live. But
I don't think people realize how bad this offensive line could be within the next 2 years. Like they need to allocate so many resources to this offensive line being better.
Yeah.
Like if you draft Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, whatever, like you said, the offensive line is going to be older and or worse, maybe both, next year. So
I think, was it you or Max that made the argument that with both first rounders they could take offensive linemen?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just yeah, they got to build around it. But if you already go, man, we have a good enough quarterback in-house. And I thought the pocket presence was at times shaky, but better in that. When he does step up, when he has it, he looks pretty good. He's just got to step up more.
Most impressive for me, outside of what we talked about with Shador, Harold Fannin Jr., who was excellent in this game. 11 targets, 8 catches, 114 yards, and 1 touchdown. Fannin's just awesome. He just looks like the Bowling Green version of what he was when he was a takeover player for them.
Draft good football players.
It's true.
And how many rookies did we have play well in this game? The Browns side, Kevin Winston being the Titans' highest graded player there. I mean, we had some darn good rookies playing in this game. I think both of these teams, you kind of see at certain points, if they can just play better up front, this is what they can look like. And the Titans' offensive line in this game might be the more impressive part, considering what they were dealing with. You're dealing with Myles Garrett and all these guys on the Browns side, and they did such a great job, a dominant job running the football. I mean, this is what you're looking for, is just young guys stepping up in a game.
I don't know why that made me laugh. It's just like, if they could just play better.
In the trenches, sure.
Oh, no, but it's just just stop the sentence there.
Yeah.
Just be like, if they could just play better.
Well, that's why they've combined for
they'd be good.
That's why they've combined for all of, 4 wins?
Who?
Titans and Browns, right?
5.
Well, 5. I'm right, and they had to earn one.
Can't sell them short.
They could have tied in this game, Trev. Could have done it.
Unfortunately, you can't tie in this league.
You can.
Anything else in this game before we move on?
Nope. Fun game, though.
All right. Our game plan of the week, folks, is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Our game plan of the week here this week, Buffalo Bills, baby. Leaning heavily into that tight end passing game this week. You mentioned how great of a game Dawson Knox had. Dalton Kincaid was up there as well. Those are their top 2 receivers in the game. Jackson Hawes was also in their top 5 graded players. So when the weather conditions were what they were, when it was a snowy game, when you needed to get bigger and more physical, the Buffalo Bills had the ability to do that on their roster, and they leaned into it with those 12 and 13 personnel sets. And so it ended up getting them the win over the Cincinnati Bengals. Just like every team win starts with a great game plan, your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect you and your family so you can focus on winning today, knowing that tomorrow is covered. Whether you're just starting out building your dynasty or looking to lock in long-term protection, their coverage options are designed to match your game plan. Visit westernsouthern.com/PFF to get your free life quote and start building your financial game plan today. Western and Southern, built to win, backed by over 130 years of helping people protect what matters most. Western and Southern, since the merger.
Oh, wow.
130 years.
I mean, that's probably a different merger.
Probably a different merger, yeah.
Since some merger.
Since some type of 1800s merger.
There was a merger.
Yeah.
There's always a merger.
There is. That's what I'm saying. That's why I love the phrase. Commanders and Vikings. I tried to think of something with a merger there. I couldn't get anything. Minnesota wins this game 31-0. There's nothing merging about this.
No.
It was a one football team played.
The other one.
And the other one kind of tried to play.
Yeah.
Top 5 graded players that we had for Minnesota: defensive tackle Javon Hargrave with a 93.0. Tight end Josh Oliver, a 92.8. We got Washington's on there? Okay, well, let me read Washington's first. Hold on. We got Washington's on the screen. Center Tyler Biotish, 75.1. Offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil, a 73.0. Cornerback Jonathan Jones, a 73.8. Linebacker Bobby Wagner, a 73.6. And then safety Quan Martin, a 66.8. Jaden Daniels in this game, a 55.7 before sort of re-injuring that non-throwing arm. I didn't see what the official diagnosis was for him afterwards.
I think it seemed like a banged-up thing because it was such a wide score that they were just like, let's not.
Yeah.
Which I would consider that the rest of the way, honestly. But.
Yeah. On Minnesota's side of things, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave had a 93.0 overall grade. Tight end Josh Oliver, a 92.8. Offensive tackle Brian O'Neill, a 92.3. Safety Harrison Smith, a 90.1. Edge rusher Andrew Van Ginkel, an 81.0. And J.J. McCarthy, 78.4.
We'll take that.
Overall grade.
Nothing wrong with that.
We'll take that at this point. Seth told the story, Dalton.
Well, I think it goes without saying, but we get paid to say it, so I'm going to do it. The Vikings had their best offensive day.
You get paid for this?
I get paid in free water. 86.9 offensive grade.
Yep.
5.1 yards per play. We can live with that.
Pretty good.
And you know what I like about it? The balance. 51.6% run rate, in this game. First time this year they've been over 50%.
Nice.
We like that. We like that with a pseudo-rookie quarterback. And I think Kevin O'Connell did a nice job against especially this defense of let's simplify things. Let's get some isolated routes going. Let's get some easy high-low half-field reads going. Let's get the play action, the run game going. Let's turn J.J. McCarthy, for now, kind of like Ben Johnson's done in Chicago, let's turn him back into a complementary piece, right? Now let's run our offense. And this was really the best game all year where they've done that. And McCarthy can look good as a complementary piece, right? He doesn't feel the pressure of having to throw it 40 to 45 times. They're not behind early because they can't run the ball. You know, they're controlling the pace of the game for the most part, right? This was a good, balanced effort. This is what you want to see. This is what you usually see, what we're used to seeing out of Kevin O'Connell's offense. Now, it's against a bottom 3 or 4 defense in football with a whole lot of issues and a whole lot of demoralized going on in Washington, but a really good effort. Just shout out my most impressive guy. I'll take the big right tackle, Brian O'Neill, 77.2 pass blocking grade, 1 pressure allowed. How about 9 positively graded run blocks from your right tackle? That's how you run the football a little bit better. Really good effort from Minnesota on offense, which I think obviously it was a good effort all the way around from them in this game for sure.
Yeah, no, it was just clear that Minnesota was the better football team basically in every way, and my most disappointing is just the Commanders' defense. I mean, there's so many issues with what's going on there. They don't have a dominant one-on-one pass rusher. The interior defensive line is not playing well this season. The linebackers, I think Frankie Louvu is a really good attacking linebacker, but they're forcing him to play a lot more in coverage this year because Bobby Wagner's lost a step in coverage. So now you're asking Louvu to kind of be the type of linebacker that he isn't really, because he's more of a Sam and he's more of an attacking type of a guy there. Then you get into the secondary, and it's just guys who are banged up. They're just not playing well. Sanders still's not having a good year. Will Harris, I think, had a below 50.0 coverage grade. It's obviously Marshawn Lattimore not in the lineup anymore either. It's just really tough based on all 3 phases for the Commanders' defense. Vikings offense was able to take control pretty early. Shout out to J.J. McCarthy for being able to do that. When I go back and watch it, he's still a little, jittery about everything, but I think that there were some really nice throws. Like the Josh Oliver touchdown, really nice touchdown. I mean, that's a really tight window throw that he was able to fire in there. My most impressive was Josh Oliver. I felt like he was one of, if not the best player that we saw in this game. Not only did he have the 2 receiving touchdowns in this one, which, by the way, he has 10 receptions all year. 4 of them are for touchdown. He was also great as a blocker. 76.8 run blocking grade from him. There were a handful of plays where when they're running 12 personnel, 13 personnel, they're running heavy. Josh Oliver's the tight end who's attached to the line of scrimmage. Josh Oliver's it's not TJ Hawkinson. They have him off the line of scrimmage. They have him as the wingback. They have Josh Oliver on the line of scrimmage next to the offensive tackle. So the versatility of what Oliver's able to do, it's beyond just those 2 touchdown catches that he got there. I thought he was really well-rounded in this game. But, obviously there's just not a lot to say about a 31-0. Type of a matchup.
No, I mean, Washington, they've been struggling on both sides, and I think the only thing that gets you a little bit discouraged here is the fact that they had Jaden Daniels back in this game, and it was still just it was not good. Lifeless. Yeah. I mean, and there were moments where Washington moved the ball well, and then you got to a 3rd or a 4th down call where I really thought Brian Flores won the day because he just – the aggressiveness that he plays with, and they have the highest blitz rate in the league in Minnesota. It was a good mix of blitz and then backing off at certain times with, backing off from Daniels and making him think about it in the pocket a little bit. But no, I mean, this Washington team, you've talked about, worst case scenarios for certain teams. And, sometimes, certain teams are going to go through it every year. You're going to get worst case scenarios, but they're really going through it. One more stat on Josh Oliver for you. I was pulling it up as I was going on the rant here. Over the last 4 seasons, the best run-blocking tight ends in the NFL. Number 1 is George Kittle. Number 2 is Josh Oliver.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, it's such a valuable role. And I think they gave him an extension this past offseason, right? It's such a valuable role he plays in this offense because it allows you to move Hawkinson around like that. He really is a very important piece for them.
And I remember watching him at San Jose State, I think is where he, if I remember correctly, where he went to college.
Correct.
I remember watching his tape at San Jose State. And a lot of people looked at him as sort of like more of a receiving tight end. He had that longer, thinner frame. He had the long arms. And that's really what I watched him as sort of like a receiving tight end. and now he has blossomed into this full-time, can play on the line of scrimmage type of a tight end. He is one of the more underrated tight end twos, I think, in the NFL, to be honest with you. And I'll say this too, not that he does everything that Hockenson does, because I do think that Hockenson's a better receiver and he's more multiple as a receiver with what he could do from the slot and all that kind of stuff. But Hockenson's cap hit balloons next year to the point where they have to restructure his contract or cut him, one of the two. He can't play on the current numbers that he has going into next season. So you could, in theory, restructure him and everything would be fine. But if they cut him, they do save a good amount of cap. I think they're under the cap. I think they're over the cap right now. They need to get under the cap, obviously. The way that Josh Oliver plays, at least you think about it, because of how good of a tight end he is.
Sure, but you still you would need to replace a player like Hawkins.
Right,
like Hockenson,
more of a receiving tight end, but you could draft,
absolutely.
right? You could draft a player like that, like Jack Endries, Max Clare, like one of these guys who you could probably get round 3, right? So now all of a sudden you don't have to pay Hockenson what you're paying him. You just get one of those guys on a rookie contract.
It's the same reason that Seattle drafted Elijah Arroyo to go with an A.J. Barner.
Right.
Because Barner's such a terrific blocker, and then Kubiak gets in the 12. I mean, it's the same thing. Clint Kubiak, Kevin O'Connell, same offense, right? We've talked about that. It's. I mean, to have two guys, two different, the Y and the F tight end, Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers. When everyone was talking about, well, are they going to trade Michael Mayer? Why would you? You've got a completely different skill set that works in the traditional parts of this position. And then you can do whatever you want with Bowers, tight end, receiver, however you want to play him. Having Knox and Hawes and Kincaid, the Bills, all the really good offenses right now in the league are doing this. They've got two different types of tight ends, the Y and the F, and Josh Oliver plays that Y position so well for this team.
Anything else on this one?
Nope. It's pretty straightforward.
All right, a little bit more of a competitive game here for this next one. Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. When I say competitive, I mean down to the very end. Green Bay wins this game 28-21. The top 5 graded players that we had for the Packers, who are now not only at the top of the division, but the 1 seed? They currently in the 1 seed?
Let me look. Let's see. The Rams are the 1.
Okay.
They're 10-3. The Packers are 9-3.
9-3-1. Yeah, gotcha.
The Bears, the crazier part to me, the Bears dropped from the 1 to the 7.
To the 7 spot. Yeah.
What a difference a week makes anyway.
Top 5 graded players that we have for the Packers. Running back Josh Jacobs in 84.4. Wide receiver Christian Watson in 83.2. Great to see him back and as involved in the offense as he is. Now fully healthy. Cornerback Keyshawn Nixon, 82.4. 2 massive plays in this game, especially at the very end. Offensive tackle Zach Tom with a 77.3. And then rounding things out at number 5, cornerback Javon Bullard with a 75.2. Jordan Love, another phenomenal game here in a season where he has had some beauties. 90.4 overall grade. On Chicago side of things, offensive guard Joe Thuney was their top graded player in their top 5 with a 93.4. Wide receiver Luther Burden, no Rome Odunze, so he stepped up big time in this one, is 76.3. Cornerback Nick McLeod with a 75.0. Tight end Cole Kmet with a 70.3. Cornerback Nashawn Wright, a 70.2. Caleb Williams in this game, a 60.6. So I've told the story, Dalton.
I actually want to start with the way this game went and just the schematic battles on both sides of the ball. And you mentioned the Bears missing Odunze. You could feel that part. So we'll start with the passing game. EPA per pass. Packers, positive 0.248. Bears, negative 0.139. Passing grades. Jordan Love, 85.5. If I took out the interception early in the game, it would be a 92.2. Dominant stuff outside of one forced throw on 3rd and long. Caleb Williams, 59.9. Only 32 passing yards in the first half. Really a slow start for their passing game. That was the difference, is that the Bears were just a bit too one-dimensional. They could win in a one-dimensional sort of fashion against Philly on Black Friday. Couldn't do it in this game, and Jordan Love was just outstanding. And I can't wait to see these two teams in a rematch, because on one side, you have the Ben Johnson, Jeff Hafley battle that I thought this time Hafley won. The Bears, funny enough, they had a good amount of yards and a high EPA per rush. They didn't have a single explosive run in this game. Which is,
I mean, now that you say that, I felt like they were running it very well, but
just
didn't
not
have the
just no
explosive plays.
home runs,
right?
Like it was all there was some 5s, some 6s, some 8s, but they did not have a single run of at least 10 yards in this game, which obviously to me speaks to Hafley's ability to prepare his guys on the second level to make those tackles and be ready to play that physical brand. I thought he rotated safeties as much as he has in any game, really confusing Caleb in the drop-back game. Now, Caleb Williams did make some throws out of structure that were just silly. I mean, especially he's kind of in the same way I look at Josh Allen. When Caleb Williams rolls to his right, kind of the throw that he made this week to Shakir, like you mentioned before, when Caleb Williams rolls to his right, look out, man. There's probably something crazy about to happen.
Yeah.
Like
I hold my breath every single time. Like the closer he gets to the sideline is just, okay, how much crazier is this throw going to get? How much crazier is this throw going to get? How much crazier is this throw going to get? Because he waits till the very last second to throw the ball away. And the beauty of Caleb Williams' progression as a passer is that before he wasn't doing that. Before he would get to the sideline, when he runs out of room, he'd go, all right, and he'd throw it somewhere in the field of play. Now, if there's somebody who's not reasonably open, he'll throw it away. And I love that about his progression.
Yeah, out of structure, he's still extremely dangerous. I mean, the throw in the end zone, too, that went, fastball. I have to check how we even graded it. But it was, you talk about 100 miles an hour right through the DB's hands.
Was that to Zacchaeus?
Yeah, the touchdown, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was, Keyshawn Nixon was in coverage on that one. And I think both of us have Keyshawn Nixon as our most impressive player because I thought he had an excellent game. And even on that play, he's in the hip pocket.
That play is just straight gas.
Yeah,
from Caleb.
You can't cover it any better than what he covers it, but it's still a touchdown because of what Caleb does.
So I think the intrigue on this side of the ball is, one, how does Ben Johnson adjust the run game? Because clearly Hafley had a plan to move things around just before the snap of the ball to get all of the run fits the way that he wanted them to. Remember last week I talked about the Bears setting up the defense? Well, Jeff Hafley took control of the run fits and really did a nice job preventing explosive runs. And then on the other side, I think you have the Bears needing to be able still, and this is to me probably the biggest flaw in their team right now, they need to be able to win on defense without turnovers. Mm-hmm. You got the early interception. They didn't capitalize, but otherwise their defense is inconsistent when they're not leading the league or having a week where they're getting 3 and 4 takeaways.
I just don't know if that's going to exist this year.
It may not.
I think you just have to, if you're Dennis Allen, I think that you almost just have to remain aggressive. And basically say, like, this is our identity.
Absolutely.
We're not a bend or don't break. We're a bend and break. We're both of those things. Like where we're going to get the interceptions, we're going to give up the yards, but as long as we get the turnovers, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win a football game.
No, I think clearly their defense playing in a more consistent fashion is the difference now between them being a playoff contender, as they are, even though they dropped from the 1 to the 7 in one day. That's nuts. Mm-hmm. And being a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, if they make it in the playoffs, they'll have a chance.
Oh, to be honest with you, you could stop the season right now and go, the Bears have had a great season.
Oh, yeah.
They got the right coach. The quarterback is getting better. We're not all the way there yet. And we're at least playing meaningful December and January football. And they very well could make the playoffs with 4 games left. And I'll tell you what, Week 18 against the Detroit Lions, the team right behind them, well, that's going to be fun.
How many yards does Caleb Williams pass for?
Oh, you're
2,900. He's not getting 4,000.
Oh, 4 games? Ah, man, they run the ball a lot too, though.
No, he's not getting.
See, out over your skis.
Because he would need, what is that, 250? No, it's more than 250.
A little over, yeah.
He's not getting it.
No, this team wins running the football. Yeah, but it's going to be like all your other bets, Trevor. You're going to be 1 year away. He's going to do it next year.
I know.
He's going to do it next year.
I know. I'm the king of that. Just being 1 week, 1 year, whatever it is.
Eli's really good at picking the second place Heisman finisher.
I know.
He's really good at it.
Which is almost tougher to do.
It is.
You know?
He's very good at it.
We got to see if we can get Eli, our producer, a second place Heisman bet.
See, what I'm going to do is next year when he bets on the Heisman,
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna then see who he's worried about beating that guy out, and then I'm going to bet on that guy. Whoever Eli's worried about beating his guy, I'm betting on that guy for sure.
It's evil, brother. By the way, somebody in the chat said, how does Jordan Love have 2 turnover-worthy plays? I only have 1 in front of me from what I see. So I don't know. The interception that he threw in the first quarter.
Yeah,
so
I thought that was the only one.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I have. My set that told the story, Love over the middle of the field. Love over the middle of the field is unbelievably confident right now. We can see this on premium stats as well. You guys want to pull that up, kind of the same thing. Just going to the the pressure and depth under the passing categories. If you go down, where is I think you can see.
Look against the blitz too when you're getting against Dennis Allen.
What was he against the blitz?
Oh, what did that say? A 98? Was that a 98 passing grade? Can I see that right? Against the blitz.
Holy smokes!
When you're going up against Dennis Allen, I didn't even see that.
Oh yeah,
because
that's why, because all 3 touchdowns were against the blitz.
Yeah,
and two of the touchdowns were big time throws. Or all 3 big time throws.
When you're going against Dennis Allen, blitzing 46% of the time, that'll get the job done.
You better
right
be
there,
ready
man.
for it. And Jordan Love was absolutely ready. And this is sort of just like pointing out how incredible he has been. You can scroll down a little bit into what I was looking at before, which is you could see like the deep center passing grade, the intermediate center passing grade, the short center passing grade, everything over the middle, in between the numbers in this game. Jordan Love was excellent. He was doing that signature Jordan Love off the back foot fadeaway throw, which sometimes makes me pull my hair out. But when it works for him, it's just a thing of beauty. And being able to sort of be that fadeaway passer lends itself really well to the blitz, right? Because like if you're already comfortable doing those things, sort of that backyard football type of style throwing, well, then you're giving yourself an extra second to get rid of the ball. Well, you're giving yourself an extra second to, like just lean back and avoid the pressure a little bit and be able to throw the football at, varying arm angles and all that. And just Love was able to show that when he's feeling it and when he is playing that confident backyard gunslinging style, man, especially when you blitz him, like you said, and he's got one-on-one opportunities, he's going to find him. And he played very, very well, specifically over the middle of the field. It was very impressed for him in that regard.
Is a top 5, maybe even top 3 touch passer in the league right now. Like certain guys are 100 miles an hour all the time. Justin Herbert, right? Josh Allen, and will just fire it into seams that you don't even think are there. Jordan Love, just even the Christian, was it the Watson touchdown deep down the middle of the field where he just I mean, you talk about like 55 yards, but a rainbow. I thought it was Watson, the one deep over, like right at the goal line that he threw it
to the right. The one that was fading to the right.
Yeah, like 55 yards, but rainbow. Like there was, and that was. I mean, he throws with such good touch and layering on those throws, even in the intermediate parts of the field, and the adjustments that they've made and the impact that Christian Watson's having, right? And the way they've had to change the personnel in their offense a little bit. They still get vertical with Watson now, and that's been a big-time threat. And the adjustments that they've made now without Tucker Kraft, I mean, this team's rolling right now. And Jordan Love, when he gets hot like he's been the last, 4 games now, there's very few that are better than hot Jordan Love. It's just a matter of how long he can sustain it.
Anything else from this one?
Oh, no. I just wanted to Keyshawn Nixon. We've talked about him as the most impressive 90 coverage grade in this game. That last play, the game-winning interception.
Did you see what Evan Williams said afterwards?
There was something about he was just hoping he was back there.
Evan Williams, now I only watched that play once. I got to go back and really study the play. But you can tell he's just kind of watching the ball. Like Williams is just trying to make the best play. And he runs out to the sideline to guard. Is it Love? Who was in the end zone? Was Loveland in the end zone? Somebody was running a shorter out route.
Shorter, I think it was. I want to say it was. Was it Zacchaeus? No, it was the back. It's the back. It's the same play they ran against Philly for the touchdown.
Yeah.
The back is because it's same side roll. You're sprinting out that way with the action. The back, I think it was Swift, was in the flat. Komet, I think, was whichever tight end that was deep to the corner. Mm-hmm. And then DJ Moore was cutting in as the backside crosser. It was Swift was the back out of the backfield going flat.
Williams was making it sound like he was supposed to have the deep coverage on that play. But he was just so much in they're not going to throw it deep. They're just going to – he was focused on them converting and getting the conversion and continuing to keep the game going. And then Nixon came all the way from the other side of the field, and once he realized that nobody was guarding this player, you just kind of – the coverage rules and the coverage assignments break down, and he goes, oh, that guy's open.
And you're right. Well, and it breaks down. It's a great job on Jeff Hafley because, again, that was the same exact play in the same exact area of the field that they ran for a touchdown on that same throw to Kmet against Philly that really iced that game. Right? And Nixon, if you look at originally, his primary read on that play is DJ Moore. And when he realizes, oh, Caleb's on the same side roll, and apparently we ran it in practice, obviously, with the scout team, and it's the same play they ran against Philly last week, he starts hauling ass back to the end zone. Because he knows, he's like, oh, Caleb's he's gonna pump this to the flat like he did last week. He's gonna get over the top. This is the kill shot. As good a play as any all year that I've seen a corner make. For that play alone, I would have made him most outstanding, and then, like you said, he had a great game overall. But the awareness, and again, that's the part where I'm so curious about this chess match. Because Jeff Hafley, I don't think I've said once this year that anybody got the best of Ben Johnson. Jeff Hafley got the best of him in this game, and that one play right there exemplifies the whole thing. There's a lot of examples, and I could spend all day on it, but Keyshawn Nixon being prepared for that moment, just an unreal play, maybe the best play I've seen from any corner all season.
Do we get these teams again? Yeah, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we get these teams again.
Oh, I'm telling you, the chess match between those two, right, the Johnson and Hafley is unreal. I want to see that again.
Man, it's fun. Fun matchup between these two teams. Excited to watch it in a couple of weeks. The Broncos and the Raiders. 24-17 is the final score in this game. I don't think the final score was an indication of how close this game was because I don't think it was really that close.
Don't tell the bettors who had -7.5.
Was that the line?
And Pete Carroll decided to kick a field goal for fun. Tough.
Oh, brother. That's funny. Denver's top 5 graded players that we had in this game. Offensive guard Quinn Miners was their top graded player with a 91.6. Running back R.J. Harvey, really good game from him, an 86.5 overall grade. Linebacker Alex Singleton with a 78.8. Linebacker Trey Greenlaw, a 77.4. And then offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey, 76.9. Bo Nix in this game, 63.0. Again, we'll reiterate it. 60.0 is basically a neutral, so Bo Nix didn't have to make a ton of difficult throws in this game. Didn't have any big-time throws, didn't have any turnover-worthy plays, but really good completion percentage. I'll get to that in a second. On the Raiders side of things, offensive guard Dylan Parham was their highest-graded player with a 76.1. Tight end Ian Thomas, a 75.7. Offensive guard Caleb Rogers, good to see him in the lineup with a 74.7. Offensive tackle DJ Glaze with a 68.4, and the safety Jeremy Chin a 67.4. Geno Smith in this game, he was in and out of the game, out of the hand injury, 56.3 overall grade. Kenny Pickett ended up finishing the game here for the Raiders. Seth that told the story, Dalton.
Love the approach here from Sean Payton, knowing at any point if this game was actually in any real danger, which it wasn't, that he could just flip the switch and unleash Bo Nix, and we're just going to tee off on the Raiders secondary. Knowing that he could do that at any time. To be honest, Sean Payton used this game like a glorified practice. And the Broncos had the ball for 39 minutes. The craziest part about that stat, all right, the Broncos had the ball 7 times in this game, all right? Mm-hmm. Also, Marvin Mims returned a punt for a touchdown, so the Raiders got back-to-back drives in the second quarter. They had 7 drives in this game, technically. One of them was just a Hail Mary at the end of the first half, so let's really say 6.
6, yeah.
They had the ball for 39 minutes for over 6 drives. Think about that. They had a drive.
I'll do it.
They had a drive that was 8 minutes and 54 seconds. They had a drive that was 9:13. They had a drive that was 10:17.
Imposing your will.
Imposing your will, but the intent wasn't just, to impose our will on the Raiders. Remember what I talked about in the preview? Hey, this team's not running the ball well since J.K. Dobbins got hurt. Mm-hmm. If they're just going to over-rely on Bo Nix to win in playoff games, they're going to slip at some point. Because you're going to – this year, I think more than ever, it's clear that you're going to need to be two-dimensional to win in the playoffs. To go out here for Sean Payton and tell this offensive line, hey, get out there and play a good game. We're going to run the football. To tell R.J. Harvey, hey, man, we're done screwing around here. You're not a rookie anymore. It's week 14. You're the workhorse. Dobbins is gone. It's you or it's nobody. And to go out and have 17 carries for Harvey, and I think it was 6 catches out of the backfield too, and really treat him like a workhorse back, and to play this type of game intentionally, knowing, to be honest, they just couldn't lose this game. They weren't going to. I mean, the Raiders, they're the Raiders at this point. They are what they are. I think Sean Payton did an outstanding job I really think that's what he did. When I went back and watched their offense, I said he's using this as a glorified practice, as just a scrimmage essentially, and going, this is what we need it to look like. Now bring it to next week. And if we don't bring this physical brand along with what we already have with Nix in the passing game into the postseason, I think it's just some great foresight, man. I'm telling you. It's awesome stuff that Sean Payton's getting his team ready like this. And I know it's the Raiders, and it's going to be harder against other teams than it is the Raiders. But the idea that, hey, we're going to do this, and if we don't, we can't make a Super Bowl, that's the way you prepare your team for the postseason.
39 minutes of time of possession, like you mentioned. Nix was 31 for 38 in this game. 86.5% adjusted completion percentage, above 80% regular completion percentage as well. 11 different players caught a pass in this game. You talk about using this as like a practice. 11 different players caught a pass. And as a team, from their running backs, they averaged more than 4 yards per carry. It was. I think you saying a glorified practice was the best way to put it. They just kind of did whatever they wanted in this game, and they got other guys involved, and R.J. Harvey was able to have a nice bounce-back game. I know you're going to talk about him in a second, but to me, it was just this team was way better than the Raiders. The Raiders are not a good football team. They're not a talented football team. They're, at this point, they're not a well-coached football team in terms of the execution of what they need to do to be great and win football games, and the Broncos are. And so when you see teams that are, one of them is now 11-2, the other one is 2-11, you want to see this team really take care of business in a pretty easy and low-risk way. Because there's not a lot of games where that's the case in the NFL. This at least was a game where that had the potential to be the case. It was the case, and the Broncos took care of business. So shout out to them for doing that. And
again, to Peyton's credit for knowing what he wanted to focus on in this game, he could have easily come out here and chalked up 45 points in this game. Easy. If he had unleashed Nix, he could have. But that wasn't the point. The point is they got the Green Bay Packers coming to town. And if you're one-dimensional against that defense with Parsons coming down your throat, then it's going to be a real problem. Right? Now you're talking about, okay, we're two-dimensional. We've put the threat of the run on tape, right? And the Packers are going to have to respect it. Because you can run on the Packers. It's not that, like even this week, it's not that the Bears didn't. They didn't get a lot of explosive. But they were certainly in the game.
Right.
So now you're really talking about, okay, now we're two-dimensional. We've put it out here, and we got a huge game coming this week that we can run the football and feel like, okay, we have some balance against another really good defense.
Anything else on this one? The Rams and the Cardinals, 45-17 was the final score in this one. The Los Angeles Rams offense just remains an absolute juggernaut. I know the Panthers bested them last week, and shout out to the Panthers for doing that. But even that, what did the Rams score, 28 in that game? So it's like the Panthers, you give the Panthers offense the kudos in that one. It's not like they really slowed down the Rams. The Rams still scored 28, and in this game they scored 45. I know you'll dig into that a little bit more. The top 5 graded players that we have for the Rams in this game: wide receiver Puka Nacua with does that say 97? 97.4 overall grade.
Good player.
The highest graded from a receiver of all time.
Highest graded single game from a receiver in PFF history.
Oh wow, that one I didn't know. I should have checked that.
I mean, it had to be close.
Man.
Offensive tackle Alaric Jackson with a 92.1. Running back Blake Corum a 91.9. Linebacker Nate Landman with an 87.4. Running back Kyron Williams an 83.4. And then Matthew Stafford a 93.9. On the Arizona side of things, boy, I know it has not been a good year for the Arizona Cardinals, but it has been a good year for Michael Wilson. 92.2 overall grade. When Marvin Harrison Jr. is not in the lineup and they're emphasizing Wilson as a wide receiver 1, he is absolutely a wide receiver 1 for them. John Gaines, their offensive guard, with an 81.9. Defensive tackle P.J. Mustafer with a 76.6. Wide receiver Jalen Brooks a 76.1. And then edge rusher Baron Browning with a 72.5. Jacoby Brissett in this game a 55.6.
So wanted to throw this out there from our good friend. He was doing the research. Our good friend on our social media team, Mike Kennedy. He did look it up. That is the highest graded single game by a receiver ever. Previous record, 96.8. Julio Jones in Week 12 of 2017 against your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
12 catches, 253 yards.
I was going to say, is this the 200-yard game from
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the 300-yard game against the Panthers, whatever year that was. I thought maybe that was it, but no,
he did have a 300-yard game, didn't he?
He did. He had a 300-yarder against Carolina, but this previous one was 12 catches, 253 and 2 touchdowns against the Bucs in 2017.
Nacua, 11 targets, 7 receptions, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns.
That's pretty efficient right there.
And clearly with a grade as high as his, I mean, he's getting open even on plays where he's not getting the ball, and he's probably blocking well as well.
This is a wagon. This is an absolute wagon. I'll just give you an idea of the Rams' offense here because I'm watching this, and they are, despite losing that, people were worried about them losing to Carolina. When it was just 3 turnovers, and the Panthers played the absolute perfect game that they possibly could have to win that game. I still almost don't know how the Panthers won that game. Here's what we're getting at here, Trevor. Here we go. 95.1 offensive grade as a team the whole unit in this game. Highest by any team in any game this season. 6.9 yards per carry. Sick. That'll do. 9.1 yards per pass. That'll do. Here's the crazier part to me. That's the highest graded game of the year on offense. The previous highest graded game of the year was their win a few weeks ago against San Francisco.
I believe it.
They have 3 of the top 5.
I believe it.
They have 5 of the top 15.
I believe it.
And number 17. They have 6 of the top 17 highest graded games on offense. And I want to, the crazier part to me, so I mentioned 5 of the top 15. All 5 of those have come since week 9.
Ooh, they're rolling.
5 of them. Can we pull up real quick if you have it ready on Premium the Rams? I want the Rams team page that shows their schedule. Go to by team and then go to the Rams here. I want you to just click on the Rams there on the left side. Trevor, I want you to look at week 9 through week 14. The Saints in the offensive column, 91.2, just to the right of the cursor. There it is, right there, that column. The 49ers, 93.6. That was the previous. The Seahawks is the one game where offensively they didn't grade that high because the Seahawks played great for most of that game on defense, right? But they won the game. And then you have an 85 and another 85, and then this one, 94.6, the official number. Behind the scenes, I had 95.1. That's still the highest in the league this year. So five of the top 15 highest graded games this year as a unit on offense. And those 5 have come in 5 of their last 6 games, the only exception being that Seattle game that they won anyway.
Wagon.
They're on a burner right now. Those are games when you look at those games, except the Carolina one with turnovers and all that. There are several games this year, like the Tampa game, like this game, like that San Fran game, where you just walk on the field and you have no shot against this team.
Yeah.
And that's really, to me, what still makes them this. They're the 1 seed in the NFC now. I still think I would call them the best team in football. And I know all of a sudden everybody was jumping off that wagon. They lost to the Panthers. What the hell's going on? Hey, the Panthers might win their division. They're pretty good. This offense, Stafford, all the receivers, 3 tight ends they're using, Blake Corum now going crazy in this game, Kyron Williams, the offense, as long as their offensive line plays, if their offensive line plays solid football, you're probably not stopping them. And then if they play like they have in a couple of these games, like that San Fran game or this one, you have no chance at all. And Stafford, I'm sorry. Look, Matthew Stafford right now, Drake May's great. Jordan Love's getting hot. We got other MVP candidates. Matt Stafford's the MVP. Unless he collapses, unless there's some just total brain freeze collapse in these last 4 games, Matt Stafford is the MVP. He's been the best quarterback in football this year. Even this game, I got a 93 passing grade and 6 big-time throws, 6 of them. He makes more, like, this year specifically. And he's the combination, first of all, of just savant-level football IQ, right? And just, he's 37 years old. He's seen everything. And then still at that age, generational arm talent, as he's always had. Trevor, when I threw this tape on, I was just, what? And there was a ton of guys that played good. Puka Nacua had the highest graded game by receiver ever. Alaric Jackson, Blake Corum, and then the defensive guys don't even start there. But Stafford makes more, like, holy shit throws right now than anybody in the league on a week-to-week basis. It is nuts. You mentioned Josh Allen and certain throws that only Josh Allen would try.
Right.
I think Stafford's the other guy I would argue into that.
There's different types of throws, but I totally agree with you.
To just go like, I can't even believe he tried that, and then it worked.
Yeah.
And he does, and it's more than once per game. It's these 6 big-time throws in this game are just nuts. It's absolutely insane, the windows that he knows he can fit footballs into and trust Puka and Devontae and Tutu Atwell and the tight ends and anybody else he wants to trust with it. This is the most loaded offense in football. And as long as their offensive line is at least playing solid, good luck.
The Rams are pretty by far the Super Bowl favorites. They're plus 430 right now to win the Super Bowl. And then the next team behind them, it's a two-way tie between the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. Both of them are plus 800. So almost double the odds of what it would be for the Rams.
Make some money if you believe a team in the AFC.
Buffalo Bills are the first AFC team.
They're the favorite. They're the favorite
Plus
right now.
900.
Over New England, over
New
Denver.
England's plus 1,000.
Wow.
Yep. And then Denver's also plus 1,000. Houston, it's actually plus 1,500.
I might like Houston better than Buffalo.
Man, the Bears are plus 3,300.
They're not doing it.
No, I don't think so. The Niners are plus 2,200. It's interesting. I think the team with the lowest odds that I like the most are...
Houston's interesting because if they can ever start firing on
They
all
don't have the
cylinders-
offensive line. They just don't have the offensive
Probably
line.
not.
Yeah.
But Stroud has shown if it's at least decent.
No, yeah,
They're better,
sure.
They're better than last year.
But it's not.
And if they don't have to face Chris Jones in the playoffs,
It's true.
I feel better.
But they're not. You got to remember this about winning a Super Bowl. It's not just about like, oh, can they have one game where they play well enough? You have to win 4.
Yeah.
You have to win 4 games in a row against opponents that traditionally get progressively harder.
And that's the part where you start to think about, and this is why Sean.
That's why I get why the Rams are plus.
This is why Sean Payton's getting them ready.
430.
Because Denver, realistically in the AFC, Denver's the team with the trenches to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They have the best combo O-line, D-line in the AFC.
You're right.
New England, the O-line is still going to be a question. And they need Will Campbell back healthy for the playoffs in the worst way they need.
Is he out I thought he was out for the year.
No, he's not. He's not done for the year. But, but it might be he's like maybe back for the playoffs. He might be done for the regular season. He's not done for the year. So him and Jared Wilson on that left side, they need back in there. But it's the AFC's wide open. If there were a team you believe in the AFC, that's where you make your money.
Totally.
Yes. Sure.
Someone has to represent the AFC. One of those teams is making the game.
Curious for the fun of it. Are the Chiefs even on that list?
They are on
that
that
list.
list.
What are the Chiefs odds?
The Chiefs odds are
you're going to take them right now.
plus 4,500.
Some
which is higher odds. So you get better odds than the Buccaneers.
Higher or lower?
The Chiefs are 4,500 and the Buccaneers are plus 3,500. So I'm listing teams that have the lower odds. The Buccaneers are ahead of the Chiefs, the Bears, the Ravens, the Chargers, all ahead of the Chiefs.
There's some sicko right now out there putting in a bet slip. Of
me.
Chiefs Super Bowl.
Yeah, me.
Still, you're in?
No. Maybe. 4,500?
I know you would.
They're not going to make the playoffs.
I know you're going to do that before the Bucs one.
A month ago, I put in a parlay for Ohio State and the Chiefs to just win the title, just because I felt like that was right when the Chiefs were kind of like getting hot again. I was like, here we go. Well, so I don't think it's going to happen.
You might still get Ohio State.
Might still get Ohio State.
Came off a late loss last year, and then
now we're talking about it. We're talking about college. It's an NFL show. We got to keep it on the rails. By the way, the Cardinals, 44 pass attempts from not Teddy Bridgewater, Jacoby Brissett. It's too many. You got 44 pass attempts, you're not going to win.
Yeah, you fall behind.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, if Jacoby Brissett has 44 passing attempts, I just don't think they're going to win the game. But they only had 10 design runs. They have no running backs that they can lean on.
It's all right. You know what I'm happy about? A good number of those 44 a week. They're going to Trey McBride, and I'm good with that.
They're going to Michael Wilson, too.
There's no better
What did Michael Wilson have in this game? What was his final stat line? 16 targets, 11 catches, $142, and 2 touchdowns.
He's having a year all of a sudden with
You tell
Marvin
me
Harrison.
when Marvin Harrison Jr.'s done that. Because I think Michael Wilson's done it 4 times now. Just saying.
We'll find it. We're gonna find it. I can find that later.
Let's go back to Thursday Night Football. Cowboys and the Detroit Lions, last game that we're talking about here this week. 44-30, Detroit Lions got a big win, a much-needed win there for them. Slowed down the red-hot Cowboys. Top 5 graded players that we had for the Detroit Lions. Safety Avonte Maddox with a 90.3. Edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson, a 90.1. Defensive tackle DJ Reader, an 84.2. Offensive tackle Penning Sewell with an 82.8. And then edge rusher Al-Qadim Muhammad with a 79.1. Jared Goff in this game, a 70.4. Dallas' side of things, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb with an 83.6. Wide receiver Ryan Flournoy with an 82.0. Defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, a 75.1. Offensive guard Tyler Smith with 71.7. Edge rusher Sam Williams, a 66.3. Dak Prescott in this game, a 67.9. South told the story.
So what could have given the Cowboys a chance to win this game is the improvement from their defensive line and Quinnen Williams and how well those guys have been playing up front. What didn't give them a chance to win this game was their secondary. That is clearly still a problem if a veteran quarterback like Jared Goff can get rid of the ball quickly enough, and he did that an average time to throw of 2.3 seconds in this game. What does that lead to? Dallas, 30.3 coverage grade in this game. And for as bad as they've been in coverage all year, that is the worst coverage grade they've put up. 6 missed tackles in coverage, 178 yards after catch allowed, second most for them in any game this year. The only game where they gave up more was the overtime tie, 40-40 against the Packers. They're definitely improved up front, absolutely. But in the moments where they needed their secondary, just one time to make a stop, couldn't get it done. And Dak Prescott obviously kept trying to claw back into this game. The offense looked pretty good for stretch, especially in the second half. They started getting a little hot. Even when CeeDee Lamb got hurt, got a concussion and left this game, they still kept it going, right? You had other guys stepping up. Ryan Flournoy has been stepping up for them. But defensively, now it's that back four, back five that they really need to figure out who are the keepers, right? Because the defensive line, you go into next year with Quinnen Williams, Donovan Ezeraku, right? Oso Digizua. You've got guys on the defensive line that can compete. This back seven in coverage has to be better. They were nowhere near good enough in this game to slow down Jared Goff when they really needed to. And the Lions, they didn't run all over consistently the Cowboys, right? There was a few big ones, but it wasn't terrible up front. But they just could not get a stop in the passing game when they needed to, especially when it came to tackling after the catch.
Yeah. Lions in the red zone were great. 4 for 5 in the red zone. I mean, anytime that's the case, I feel like they're going to be putting up 30-plus on you. So you're really in for a high-scoring race. The most impressive for me was Amon-Ra St. Brown. 6 catches, 92 yards. I found this quote from him from Michael David Smith for Pro Football Talk. This is from Amon-Ra St. Brown. It said, quote, after the game last week, I heard it on Thursday. Friday, I couldn't walk. Saturday, I could barely walk. And then at that point, I was like, all right, I can't play. This hurts too bad because he had sprained his ankle. Sunday, I was able to walk a little bit better, tried to jog around, couldn't even do a warm-up, kind of felt down, feeling like I couldn't play. Then Tuesday came, felt a lot better. I felt like I had a chance. Wednesday, I was like, okay, I feel like I might be able to play. 6 catches, 92 yards. 2 big first downs for him. I mean, he's a stud. Just to play through pain, to play the way that he did. I mean, you watch him out there, and he's running, I don't want to say as if he's 100%. I can tell he wasn't quite 100%, but a lot of the movements are very similar. So you know that he's playing through a lot of pain. He's making it work. Just such a gutsy performance from St. Brown in this game. So that's my most impressive. Shout out to him. Savone Revel, the Cowboys cornerback, struggled in this game. 29.0 coverage grade. He just doesn't quite look there yet. And it was always going to be a process with Revel, even beyond him getting back from the ACL tear, because when you watched him at East Carolina, what was so alluring from him was the size, speed, athleticism, just talent combination that he had. But he was still late to flip the hips, late to recognize things. He just had unbelievable recovery speed and strength. So he could make up for it against a lot of the competition that he was going up against at East Carolina. So that anticipation and feel part of his game was always going to take a couple of years for him to really become that starting potential shutdown outside corner. So I'm not really worried about it. What we're seeing is not anything against what I thought that we would see from him. It's just hard to stomach a 29 coverage grade, and the coverage being as poor as it was for Dallas, even if that's the case.
And good play callers are going to find rookie corners.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to find them. And with Revel, I think you mentioned his skill set. It's more of a press man skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to a defensive coordinator in Matt Eberflus, who basically doesn't run any press man for the most part. So it's just the learning curve was going to be something that needed to be accounted for, and it might be even more so in this defense. So it is what it is, man. Dan Campbell and Jared Goff, they had a good plan. When they saw him out there, they were going after him with the play calls, and Goff knew how to execute that part of it. Most impressive guy for me, how about Phil? He was already filling in for Kirby Joseph back there at safety. How about Avonte Maddox, who we've known for years and years as a nickel corner, right? He's been on, the Eagles teams, at least the first one. I remember he was a starting nickel on that team, right? But having to play safety in this game, throwing up an 83.4 coverage grade, pass breakup early in the game, 73 run defense grade, and now he becomes even more valuable in the wake of Brian Branch and his season-ending injury. And it just feels like with the Lions, can they ever catch a break on defense with this? With the injuries, can they ever catch a break at all?
Yeah,
because I mean now it's like you were already down Joseph for a while. Now you're down Brian Branch for the rest of the way. The front seven's still really good. Hutchinson and Al-Qadim Muhammad, they dominated this game. Terrion Arnold's out for the year. When are the Lions ever just going to catch up?
It's just a rough year for him, luck-wise. Yeah.
I mean, somehow it's luckier than last year when they had everybody on IR.
Yeah.
But still, it's like now you've got 3 starters in your secondary, and 2 of them for sure out for the year in Branch, and you could argue other than Hutchinson that Branch is your next best defensive player. I mean, how many more can they – but props to Avonte Maddox for sure stepping up, because he's going to have to do it the rest of the way as well. He's going to be starting the rest of the way, whether it's alongside Joseph or whoever else back there. But the Lions just can't seem to catch a break when it comes to these injuries, on defense especially.
You are right. But got to win on Thursday. So
next man up.
Next man up.
Get a win.
Next man up mentality.
Playoff stretch.
Here we go.
Man.
All 14 games, up and down. If you guys want to see these numbers and so much more for yourself, PFF Plus subscription is the best way to do it. Holiday 30 gets you 30% off a PFF Plus subscription. If you don't have one right now, you can see all the grades, the premium stats, the fantasy tools, the draft tools, the betting tools, all that good stuff over at PFF.com. So make sure you go get one and save yourself 30% off, because we know that you're going to use it year-round. So now's the time to get one. 4 more weeks in the NFL season. All the bye weeks are done. It's going to be exciting down the stretch. Can't wait to see, how this playoff picture, like you said, the craziness of the Bears started with the number 1 seed this week. Now they're number 7. Every single game means so much down the stretch. Can't wait, man. It's going to be excited to see how all this plays out. Hey, for everybody behind the glass who helped produce the show, for Dalton Wasserman, I'm Trevor Sikkema saying thank you guys so much for watching this edition of the PFF NFL show. We will see you guys for the preview show for Week 15 on Wednesday. See you guys then.